always. Of course, your support also appreciated there, and everywhere that you give it, make sure you pass it around, do all those things. Hello to everybody in the chat. I hope this finds you doing well. Not everybody's as excited as I am on draft night, but I am. It's a busy sort of night because we have game 2 with the Bolts and the Panthers, and then you got the draft. It's the way this game is scheduled today. Hell, you get the first full 2 periods out of the way before the draft even begins tonight at 8 o'clock. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in Green Bay. Sleepy little town, Green Bay, Wisconsin, that's overwhelmed when 80,000 people are there for the Packers games. And now you have 250,000 folks trying to roll in town. I know I read this morning they don't have enough hotel rooms. They don't have enough accommodations. Appleton, which is a small town in Wisconsin, where a school that actually recruited me, I was like, I'm not going to Appleton, Wisconsin. I don't care how beautiful it is. Anyhow, they perhaps are accommodating some folks here or there. I don't know how far away. Milwaukee, about an hour away, I guess. It'd be interesting to see. I saw a thing the other day. I made mention of it to you. I think, Tom, I don't know if that was on or off the air, that one of the guys that works for the city was talking about how on game days in Green Bay, they have problems flushing the sewer system. It takes 3 days to flush the sewer system after 80,000 people arrive into town to go to a game. What are they going to do where this goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's 250,000 people?
It's going to smell. That's what it's going to be.
They're going to have some issues, perhaps. I'm not sure. They may have some issues. Not our problem. We're not there. I do think it's interesting they chose to have it there. I mean, I get it. It's kind of sacred ground in football, Lambeau and all of that.
I would imagine this is a very, very nice week for motor coach services that are able to take people to and fro. I remember seeing those services for Madison, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee, and Green Bay, and Kohler, when I was up there for the Ryder Cup. So all these buses, and they announce proudly what cities they'll drive you to and from, and it's basically open bar as you go back and forth. So I'm sure that those things from Milwaukee, which is about 2 hours from Green Bay, those things are going to be like in droves. You don't want to be a highway driver and a local this week. You probably should take a few days off starting today if you live up there.
And enjoy the draft from a distance. Yeah. Enjoy the draft.
Airbnb the hell out of your home.
Yeah. So today is the day Florida State hosts cornerback Jeremiah Wilson. He comes in. He played for Houston a year ago. He was very productive. More interceptions for that young man than anybody in a Florida State uniform, that's for sure. We had how many interceptions did we have last year? 1, 2? You're hard pressed to try to remember any of them.
I don't dare speculate.
I think it might have been. I may be right. Anyhow, this young man had 24 tackles and 4 interceptions himself. He returned one of those to the hizzy. Now, I know we didn't do that. That's like I don't recall. You can look at team interceptions. We might have had a couple of deflections or something weird there, Tom, but I don't think it was many.
I'm clicking over to Seminoles.com to pull up the 2024 stats. It's being slow, the website. I think they might have trained this particular page to be very slow.
Oh, it should like create malfunction warnings to you. And you don't really want to check those numbers. Guys, you don't want to look at what we averaged in terms of points per game, yards. You don't want to look at those defensive numbers. You don't want to look at the offense. What are we really doing here, sir? Rethink your search.
4 interceptions.
Okay.
There you go. So just as many as that kid.
4. I bet you a couple of them came against like that Division II team or whatever it was. I mean, good God, man. Good God. Anyhow, so I don't know. Last night we did a bonus for those of you that are in, I don't know if it's the Renegade room or whatever the room is. It's a Garnet room or something, Tom, on the message boards. I think we released that bonus headlines to them.
You did. As you're discussing what color the room is, I'll just fill you in. The interceptions came against Memphis, Cal, Charleston Southern, and Florida, respectively.
So Charleston Southern is who I was trying to think of, yeah. Well, that's right. We did have the interception down in the end zone against Florida.
Yes, and the one against Charleston Southern, was returned for 57 yards.
That was a big one. I remember it like it was yesterday. Anyhow, we got into this discussion about who they're bringing in and what they're looking at and how many guys they might bring in, whatever it might be. And I kind of raised an eyebrow about the fact that they were bringing in a DB. Now, I don't want to ignore the fact that this was a highly rated defensive back. Now, PFF numbers, as we always point out, do not tell the whole story. They're one measurement of many that you would use to assess a player's viability, but they're not the total be-all, end-all. In terms of those numbers, however, he was highly thought of. He graded out at 86.7. His coverage grade was even higher at 86.9. So if you get him, if he says yes, and he has some ties, obviously, to Tony White, and, perhaps at that point you get a kid who is going to come in and play right away and will be productive for you right away and does help your defense. And remember that they're installing a different defense with different responsibilities. It worries me a little bit, Tom, that's the first position we really hear about them going after, because it tells me that post-spring, the coaches sat down and said, where are we insufficient? What don't we have that you feel, a little uncomfortable about? What is it you're worried about going into the fall? Defensive back coming up concerns me because it was an area, one of the few on this football team that maybe when camp started, you felt pretty good about. You felt like the room was deep. It was filled with players that could run, that had length in some cases. I don't know. Bothers me a little bit, especially when you need defensive line, especially when you need another receiver at this point, probably, especially when you could use an offensive lineman or a receiver. On and on we go.
Yeah, it's hard to make total sense of that. I didn't feel great about safety. I still don't. This kid is not one of those. He's a corner. So what does that mean? Quindarius took the job and somebody else didn't. Rawls took the job and Quindarius wasn't exactly what Tony White wanted. Are they looking for – do they think those two guys are good to be rotational pieces, or one of those two can be a rotational player and the other needs to start, but they could use a real true starter to anchor that defense? Are they looking at one of those aforementioned two players at slot? What about Edwin Joseph? Yeah. There's best player available, and then there's also we have a need. And I think this is the intersection of the two, but that they're prioritizing dollars for a corner is it's worth noting. And Michael and I had a conversation on the channel last night about them looking at offensive line as well, and he thinks that they might be looking specifically at tackle. And I'm thinking, really? Tackle? Well, you have Hansen and you have Pettis. Now, unless that's going to be a multi-year tackle, if you really think you need one of those immediately, that would raise my eyebrows as well. So
would you worry about that on two fronts? That your tackles were banged up in the spring. So to what extent are they banged up now that you have the eyebrow raised? Number two, in the crazy-ass world of college football currently, there's no guarantee that the guy you brought in at the end of the regular season to come play for you next year will be here at the start of the next year.
Yeah, that would make sense if one of the tackles – this isn't because Jalen Early left. You know what I mean?
Right,
like that interest.
Right.
And we'll see if they actually follow through on it. Maybe that means that they like one of their tackles a guard and they don't feel good about any of the kids that were on campus before the last portal window. Because you brought in 4 transfers already, 2 tackles, a center, and a guard.
Yeah.
So that leaves one spot for native Florida State players from the previous regime. You telling me nobody can be that guard? I don't know. It's just interesting. But this is where the coaching staff, what they tell you about what they prioritize matters more than anything else. And they're not messing around. They need this to work, so they're telling you the blunt truth about what they believe this roster is or isn't.
That also tells you what's available, what's possible. I mean, I think you're right. Generally speaking, you don't have to listen to a coach's words. Just look at their actions. If they go heavy in the portal at a certain position, they feel uncomfortable about their depth or talent or both at the position. But sometimes, too, especially when you're talking about the spring portal, first of all, that is extremely limited compared to the other portal window. You don't see a ton of real elite talent usually at this time of year. The Keon Coleman of the world is the exception, and it's really quite rare that it happens. And then number two, you might realize that, okay, there are some guys at a position of need for us, but we don't think the quality is where it needs to be. We're not going to overpay for that guy just because we'd like to have another tackle or we would like to have another whatever it might be. Whereas you might see somebody who you think is pretty, high quality, can help you or at least even be a depth piece, and you can get them relatively cheap so you pull the trigger. There's a lot of factors there.
Well, there's a ton of factors. It's just in this specific case for the corner that they're hosting today, that's a starter.
He's a plug-and-play guy.
It's
a plug-and-play guy, yeah.
So they're in this specific instance, they're looking for somebody to be one of their 11 on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And the O-line, a couple of names they were floating out there. One is a kid named Cam Pringle out of South Carolina. He's a rising redshirt freshman, I think. So, that would be something where makes a ton of sense. He's 6'7" or 6'8", a giant body type, and they like him to slot in the future. But, if they're bringing in, look at the positions that they're hosting over the next few weeks. If they're bringing in guys that only have 1 year left or, they're a redshirt junior and they've been productive, they're telling you that they're bringing in this player to be an immediate starter. So as the visits come in, that'll be interesting to monitor because, this is a bit of a surprise. If you said at the outset of spring camp, what will they need when spring camp is over first? What will they host here on campus first? You wouldn't say corner.
No, you would not have said corner. That was the reason for my concern. We'll see. I don't think they're going to be that active either way. The draft tonight, an announcement really quick before I forget. This is on me. Wherever you feel like watching the draft, you go watch the draft. Now, we have places we love. We love the corner pocket. We love Bumpus. We like a lot of places. But we kind of had aimed sort of pseudo-casual, just if you wanted to come out, we're going to be watching it. And I said it in passing about the corner pocket bar and grill. And that's because I love my man Bill, and I love going over there with the Vegas Wall. But I didn't check with him. It's my fault. That Vegas Wall tonight, guys, being used for Thursday night beer bingo. They get after it. Old people aplenty getting down, gambling, drinking, using the Vegas board for the number reveal. I can't get in the way of that. So I said, look, my bad. We'll do it another time.
But if beer bingo is your thing,
it's awesome.
Cash games.
Oh, yeah. They're not fooling around. It's cool. But I don't want to mislead you and say, hey, everybody race over here, and then we got a limited part of the bar that we could be in or whatever, or we mess up the beer bingo. I'm not doing that. Right. I'm not getting in the way of my man's money.
You walk through the door, you hear Rusa, I-35.
Right.
I-35.
Yeah, I would feel bad about that. So we said, all right, it was never an official watch party. That's all right. You watch wherever you want to watch. And by the way, if it happens to be a corner pocket bar and grill, you'll find a television with the draft on, I promise you. But we're not telling you to officially meet over there because there's a good chance Tom and I are not going to be there. And then that's not listen, corner pocket survives without us on the regular. I'm just saying, if you want to go over there, there is some beer bingo going down tonight.
Sometimes I sneak downstairs for the vino. We'll see. I got some good wine downstairs at 7. This could be one of those.
Maybe with the dropping of the puck at 6:30. Is that what time it is?
6:30.
Like the show ends and the puck drops. Here we go.
Yeah, on a Thursday.
I'm mad at hockey because as much as I love it, they've pissed me off here and they've done themselves no favors. They are the only professional sports outfit that have seen their ratings drop dramatically in the postseason this year. I mean, dramatically. The NBA got criticized, or it was observed that their ratings were down by 2% this year for the regular season, but their numbers were massive to start the playoffs. The first round of ratings came in for the playoffs, and they shot up huge. In fact, they're better than they were a year ago. And the same, last year, MLB's ratings went through the roof, regular season and the postseason. Now, they were given a gift because they got the Dodgers and the Yankees. You can't do any better than that. But they still did gangbusters. Obviously, the NFL always does well. We know we've talked a lot about the ratings with the college football playoff. We'll see if that continues, but they did well too. And the NHL is down 26%. Because you don't know where the games are and the disparate times and how spread out they are. It's stupid.
Yeah, I don't know how they managed to achieve that with networks that are very findable. They worked very hard to leave Versus/Outdoor Life Network to get into this position, and it became NBC Sports. But, TNT and TBS have the NBA playoffs at least for one more year.
Mm-hmm.
TNT is known as a sports network, this time of the year, and ESPN's ESPN. But I think part of it is, yes, the scheduling is herky-jerky.
Herky-jerky, buddy.
And they led, you got to lead with a strong candidate. Their first game of the playoffs, all right, it's now playoff season, is Winnipeg St. Louis. You can't give us Ovi in game one?
Right.
You give us something. It's got to be better than Winnipeg St. Louis.
Well, that'd be like tonight. You have Florida and Tampa Bay, and it's Max, True TV, or TBS, right? But at 7, here we go. A much better time slot. We're going to give you Ottawa.
Right.
That nobody in this country cares about even a little bit.
Ottawa live.
It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Ottawa, Toronto. Very niche in the States.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll tune in at 3:30 in the afternoon in Canada. Your ratings aren't going to suffer for any time that you want to drop the puck for Ottawa, Toronto.
Scheduling has been a bugaboo for the NHL, and I've complained about this.
Well, somehow it finishes after the NBA now. It always used to finish a week or two ahead of the finals.
Yeah, it drives well, and I've said, many times, like, well, okay, it's random Tuesday. I'm sitting here talking to you. We got one game tonight. 13 tomorrow. We got one tonight. What are we doing? Like typically in the regular season. That's kind of my gripe. Anyhow, playoff hockey's great.
Wait a minute. In the chat. So Noel Dad's like, well, Winnipeg won the President's Trophy. Who gives a damn? It's Winnipeg. I'm talking about American audiences.
Yeah, no, we're talking about ratings.
St. Louis is the hottest team. Who cares? The Blues don't drive ratings.
No, and also I'm not talking about a fandom for a team or the relative value of the quality of them in terms of what they did this year in their record.
Colorado, Dallas.
We're talking about how do you draw more eyes to sets.
LA, Edmonton. You want to put a Canadian team? Get McDavid on the ice against LA. There you go. That's how you start the thing, not St. Louis, Winnipeg.
Yeah, and I also never said that they shouldn't be on TV. I said that the ratings are down 26%. It's because of the way they schedule. It's crappy. They do a terrible job. This has been a bugaboo for them for a long time.
And that atmosphere in Winnipeg and that building is second to few. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. But you know what? People don't care in the state. You got to give them a reason to care. I know that, and I'll watch it, and I did.
Yeah.
But the general public that's turning on TNT goes, what, WPG? Who the hell is WPG?
So the draft begins tonight with basically the Jags. Here's your moment, Jacksonville, because things look like they're going to go status quo early in the draft. And the first time that we may get a shakeup is the Jaguars at number 5. And I hope it happens. I love when we get chaos. I root for it. It's exciting when it happens. And, the Jags are a team that have said, look, we're under new management. We got a new head coach. We got a new GM. I know what you think about us in the past as a worthless franchise who's achieved nothing, often not viewed in a way that recognizes they're even in the league. They get shipped off to foreign soil whenever possible to play their games. Whenever there's talk of expansion anywhere else in the States or beyond, they say, well, you could take the Jaguars and put them there. It's tough. It's tough being a Jags fan, but tonight could be your night, guys. You could shake up the draft. Either A, do something incredibly stupid, which you've been known to do, or B, make a trade. Do something silly. Take this thing up. There's a lot of cool storylines that are beginning to surface here. If I put it at 3.5, if I put it at 4.5, if I put it at 5.5, what number would you find interesting for the number of trades that we get tonight?
Well, and any number at 3 or above would be interesting. But I'll say that there are going to be 5 trades
in the first round.
In the first round. Wow. And they might not even involve picks. I feel like there's going to be in terms of like the one that's on the clock. I feel like one of those veteran quarterbacks is going to move here soon, like a Kirk Cousins, for example.
Well, I don't know who wants him. I mean, he was hurt last year. He's got a massive price tag. The Falcons would celebrate that. You Atlanta fans would be jumping for joy if you could move him.
Send him in a pick. You get some cash in return, like a 7th round. Yeah, there might be there might be some personnel trades that go on tonight. I think that would be interesting.
Well,
and you need a little bit of a pulse. I think because right now the way I'm looking at it is we've got a game at 6:30. I really probably don't need to tune into the NFL draft until about 8:45 anyway.
Yeah, but I'm going to, because the draft is awesome. I mean, there's always some drama. There's always something kind of fun that happens that surprises you. Somebody does something where they did what? All of a sudden.
Well, yeah, the Giants would be the team.
If they fooled around and drafted Jackson Dart, that would be ridiculous.
Right. I think the first two are going to be fine, but typically those franchises want to let the clock run all the way down so people talk about their franchise. They get the energy up for their own fan base. So the next thing you know, I forget, they changed the times. Is it 10 minutes now? Might be 5.
It's not as long as it used to be.
Sitting
there for 15 minutes. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. But that means that you take a minute to start the broadcast, and Goodell steps up and he talks for 2 minutes, and then they launch the thing and they're on the clock. So by 8:25, I think that's when this thing starts. And if the Giants do something stupid, I don't think they're going to, but their building counterparts, the Jets, have made history, decades-long history of being in a position where you think they're going to do one thing and they do the other. So maybe it rubs off on the Giants.
It's viable, though, where the reason that everybody says the Jags, and I know we got a break, but the reason everybody gets excited about this is that the Bears are said to want to move up, that they really covet Ashton Genty. And they want to go up to get him, and the ideal trade for the Jags, and I think it would be smart for them to do it because they have so many needs. The teams that do the trades are the ones that have a multitude of needs, and they just acquire picks. But if the Jags give the Bears, say, their 5th pick, and they move down, and let's say they move down to 10, they could still get a receiver that they need. They could still get one of the offensive linemen that they need. They know a lot of things they could get. This is a good draft to trade down. There's a part of me at 19, if you don't love, if like 2 or 3 of the guys that you wanted for Tampa Bay weren't there, given that you need a linebacker, you need a safety, you could use a receiver, you could use there's a lot. You need an edge rusher. If you wanted to move down from, say, one of those teams like Denver who might want to jump up to where you are, and you could get an extra pick tomorrow just to go down to 22, I'd do that all day long.
What'd be interesting is because of the lack of top-end talent, what would your haul be to move back 10 spots? Maybe in some years it would be in the first round. If you did that, you would get in a top 70 pick. Is it a top 100 pick now? And is that worth it to you? Because I would imagine that the cost of dropping back, the price you would ask from the trade partner can't be as high because the talent pool is thinner.
Yeah, but I think that if you get a top 110 pick, which is anything in the first 4 rounds, you frame it that way. You're talking about adding players that are ranked within the top 110 players in the draft, and a draft that isn't top heavy with elite talent, but good, solid stuff in the second, third, and fourth. I think you would do it, especially if you feel like, well, you know what? 4 of our guys are still there, and we're dropping 3 spots. We're going to get one of our guys, and we just added a pick. I'm in all day. Let's go. Let's hope that happens, where stuff like that happens, where people do something stupid. They move, whatever it might be. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark.com.
License CCC 1331204.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Tired of spending money on bug spray and inhaling all those fumes every time you want to go outside? Treat your yard so you can stop spraying your kids.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has a solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program which seeks the grounds, flower bed, and shrubs. Paul's controls pesky mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard. Not only are mosquitoes a physical irritation, they also pose a potential health risk to people and pets. With Paul's targeted techniques, you can rest assured that your yard will be protected and your afternoons will stay fun.
Take back your yard. Don't let mosquitoes interrupt the fun. For more information, go to callpauls.com. For the elimination of termites or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Pauls can help eliminate fire ants from your lawn, too. We'll help you take your yard back.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I'll ask you this. What would disappoint you, circling back to Florida State real quick, what would disappoint you this portal window? They've never been that active during this window. I laid it out yesterday that this also will not be a very active run for Florida State for a variety of reasons, but the biggest being that they really sold out to ensure some semblance of a decent class at the end of a disastrous season. So you went from 50 to 20, whatever, because you were able to go out and bring in those portal players to supplement the recruiting class that you had in the prep ranks. And from there, I think their attention from a money standpoint has largely centered around retaining players that are of great value to you going into the next year, or guys that you did bring in that you feel are really important to you and your success moving forward. That third on the list of priorities for Florida State is perhaps going out and shopping for another player to add to this roster. When you know, and Tom and I have talked about it a lot, when you know that doing so doesn't change your win share greatly. So, if you're going to be an 8-win team and you go out and get that corner, and maybe you go out and get a wide receiver, a lot of people want a wide receiver because of the departure of two names at the position. do you become a team that would be projected at 8.5 at that point? Are they 9 at best? So they're not a candidate right now, not a realistic candidate in terms of odds to win the ACC. Doesn't mean they can't, but you're trying to ensure that there's no disaster like the one a year ago or anything close to it. You're trying to ensure you have a job at the end of this year and that you will be in a position of stability to move forward and have success. And this year is vitally important to that. And you really can't push in your chips just yet. You can't ante up, and it's the wrong portal to ante up in. This is not a portal that features a bevy of talent, plus talent, game-changing talent. Not a lot of it out there.
No, but the market force is for desperation to overspend because there might be some rules changes that come right behind it. So
maybe.
So you've got maybe. I get it. I saw what the judge said.
Maybe. I keep leaning towards this is not happening.
Well, right now, the market is acting as though it is going to happen, and this is their last crack at it with the old system. It might stay as the normal system. But if you've got a really thin talent market and a really aggressive buying side of the equation with all these schools, then you've got a lot of bad deals out there. You got a lot of overpriced talent that's going to do minimal for your program compared to what that money would get you a year ago or 2 years ago. And it's going to create potential problems in the hierarchy of your locker room in terms of people checking each other's pockets. So there's a hell of a lot more cost versus the benefit in this particular analysis. You got to be careful in this market. And I think that's one thing that Florida State is doing here. And that's not me trying to spin it in a positive way. I think that's the prudent thing to do. I mean, we've seen free agent markets in different sports over the years where you're just saying, that guy's going to fetch what kind of money?
Right.
For being a league average player? Well, that's just stupid. Who would spend that much money on that player? And you see like 3 teams are bidding against each other for it, So I think that's what Florida State is working with here. They're trying to make their team better, but at what cost?
What we're referencing, by the way, was the delay. The judge delayed the House settlement approval over roster limits, actually, just for those not in the know. And I get it, man. Right about now, if you're a college football fan, there is a tendency, especially for those of you that have lives that don't revolve around the day-to-day studying of the AP storyline release and caught up in the courts with college football. There's a lot of wake me when this is over, please, and tell me there's some semblance of normalcy returning to college football. Have they found a way to get this fixed? A federal judge told the NCAA and its members yesterday that she would not approve the multi-billion-dollar antitrust settlement that is expected and has been talked about ad nauseum now to reshape the business of college sports unless they change a proposed policy limiting roster sizes. Says no. Judge Claudia Wilkins said the NCAA's insistence on immediately implementing roster limits would cause some college athletes to lose their spot on their current teams, and that she could not approve a settlement that would cause harm to some members of the plaintiff's case. She wrote that she did not have issues with any other parts of the proposed settlement at this time, and that the court tentatively finds it a grant of approval to the remainder of the settlement if those roster limits are resolved. Wilkin had suggested during a hearing for settlement approval earlier this month that the NCAA should consider delaying its new roster size rules and perhaps grandfather in current athletes rather than just lop them off. Those class members will be harmed because their roster spot will be, or has been, taken away as a result of the immediate implementation of the settlement agreement. A spokesperson for the NCAA and defendant conference said in a statement that they are closely reviewing the judge's orders. Our focus continues to be on securing approval of this very significant agreement, which aims to create more opportunities than ever before for student athletes while fostering much-needed stability and fairness. The NCAA, what's at the root of this, is agreed to pay $2.8 billion in damages to past and current athletes to settle the 3 federal antitrust lawsuits. We've known all about this story and talked a lot about it for a very long time. And a lot of this could have been avoided. There were all kinds of warning shots. Courts repeatedly told the NCAA, you're not going to like what's coming. Make changes now. This was 5 years ago. 7 years ago. They didn't. And really what this will end up doing, if it does happen, is effectively start what is considered to be a salary cap. It's expected to start, as we know, roughly around $20.5 million per school, increase annually during a 10-year lifespan of the new deal. There have been several objectors who spoke at the hearing in California earlier this month asking Wilkin to reject the settlement, that it could lead to eliminations of thousands and thousands of roster spots. And they gave a good example of it. And, they said times it by 120. If you think that there's 25 spots that are eliminated, times that by 120. Now what are we talking about in terms of the number of athletes directly impacted immediately when this goes through? And she took heed.
Well, she's just looking for a ramp-up effect. She's not saying that there needs to be all of these extra spots in perpetuity. She's just saying that the suddenness of this seems unfair to the people who have already agreed to terms with the university. And that's where she's correct. But to the other side of it, I think this was already way, way, way too swollen of an industry. I mean, it's a bubble. And it's about to burst. And she's saying, hey, can we control the timing of the bursting of the bubble here for some of these athletes? And I know that some across campuses in the United States have already moved on, anticipating that the settlement is going to go through. And so those student athletes have found other means. They've transferred out. Whatever they've done, they've made plans and arrangements. But there are some who would immediately be affected overnight. Here it is. One day you're a student athlete. The next day you don't have your spot. I do think it's fair. We've grandfathered in a whole lot of stuff. Eligibility for COVID, God knows, is still going on.
Well,
right?
I think it's over, but yes.
Well, I think there's probably a couple cases out there that are going to be argued in court and probably upheld. And
yesterday we got good news finally where judges were like, that's enough. That's enough. You played 8 years. 8 years. Get the hell out of here.
We'll see. There might be cases in other states that say something else, and then you've got a real fight on your hands. But at any rate, it does seem a little sudden for an awful lot of student athletes. So I'm in agreement with the long term, which is, yeah, man, this is already way, way, way too large. We've been spending football money on other sports for a long time, and everybody thought it was okay. It's not. So downsizing is a good thing, but you don't have to do it instantly. Hopefully these commissioners come to their senses and find some middle path.
If your roof is busted up, ruined, in need of repair, make sure you reach out to our friends at T-Spark Enterprises. These are guys that are there for you, gals too, for your commercial and residential roofing and construction needs. Call T-Spark Enterprises today, 850-766-1340. By the way, serve not only North Florida, but if you're listening in South Georgia, Monticello, Havana, Quincy, Crawfordville, Wakulla, Madison, Thomasville, Bainbridge, Cairo. Forget about it. They got you. It's a guaranteed win. Give them a call today or visit them at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336, CCC 1331204.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley.
It's now that time of year where you're trading in those golf pants for the shorts because you need breathability. There's a lot of sweating that's going to be going on over the next 5 to 6 months of your life if you live where we do in Tallahassee or anywhere in the southeastern footprint on Warchant TV and the Warchant Podcast Network. Well, Bird Dogs to the rescue because they combine comfort, fit, versatility. You can wear these shorts everywhere. Here's 2 pairs that have been sent my way from our friends at Bird Dogs. Excellent blue color. You can see the built-in liner there. So it's a 2-for-1 here. You don't have to worry about 2 pieces of clothing. You can just use the liner that Bird Dogs has. Outstanding breathability. It's stretch fit. It's super light. These things are going to save your bacon if you're outdoors this spring and summer, be it on the golf course, you're going to happy hour, but your friend is insistent on sitting outside to go get that glass of wine or that cocktail. All right, if you were wearing those old khaki shorts or those old stiff cargo shorts from yesteryear, you were going to be sweating, and that was going to be a problem. Now, breathability, baby. This is exactly what you want, and it's from our friends at Bird Dogs. For a limited time for our listeners and viewers, you get a free hat when you order with code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. You get this hat right here on the screen completely free when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. Support our network and let them know we sent you. Again, one more time, for a limited time, listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. You get this hat on the screen completely free when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com.
Protect your power, your life. Be ready for whatever 2025 throws your way.
Right before the show, I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Jeff.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, so I got distracted and started talking about college football as a whole. But back to the original question I asked you, what would you be disappointed if they brought nobody else in? Would you think they were failing? Would you look at this as an indictment of this portal window?
Not necessarily. It really depends on circumstances of were kids interested in you, were kids very, very talented and interested in you, or were they looking elsewhere and you would have had to bend over backwards to get their attention with extra money and send bad money after a minimal return. So as it stands right now, no, I wouldn't be disappointed. But if there are a couple of candidates that I'm not aware of or that are going to enter in the next day, and they really like Florida State, and I hear behind the scenes that we dropped the ball, then sure.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now with everything that's transpired, no, man, you got to dance with the ones that brought you and make sure that you keep the kids that are on the roster right now through Friday. That would be the key.
Keep laughing that Jaden Rashada is transferring again. Good Lord, man. I've looked at the names, as many as I could find. Just, they rate these guys relative to this portal cycle, and there's just not a lot of guys, Tom, that I immediately say, well, they got to go get him. He's a guy they got to go get. This changes who we are. There are a few guys who, and typically what I look for, let's say we were looking at a receiver. And there's some receivers, the Keelan Marion kid, there's a few other kids that are out there that are in the portal. But I'm following the methodology they used when they pursued people at the end of the season. And using that, you've got to find a guy that has real experience and has played in big games and has something to the resume. 25 catches, 30 catches in a college football season where they didn't have to be a starter, but they were relied upon. They played in 10 games. They played at a high level. When you saw them, they were productive. So like the kid from Houston at DB that we're just talking about was very productive. He meets the goal. He meets the criteria, right? He started 4 interceptions, returned 1 for a touchdown, highly rated down to down, both in coverage and at just overall assignments. He played very, very well from what you could tell. Okay, he fits the bill. We'll see if he's any good. He'll come here. Maybe he will be. Maybe he won't. But there are a lot of kids that don't fall in that category. They're just guys that you say, well, he was highly thought of coming out of high school. He's largely spent 2 years on the bench for name your team.
Right. And if you can backfill your roster with a couple of those guys, I'd be happy with it. Not intending to play them this year, but to, set yourself up for 2026 and 2027. I think that's more of the market that I hope that they go attack. I am disappointed, though, that to answer the question from the first segment, reflecting on you're going after a corner. You're telling me that none of these guys can play? I mean, they're in year 2 and year 3. Like, you're telling me that none of these guys, you don't feel comfortable right now as it is.
I made that point as well.
Well, and if they go aggressively after a receiver, I'd be mad about that too. You're telling me that we whiffed on McCoy or we whiffed on Moore, like that these guys can't even be your 3 or your 4? Because that's all you're asking these guys to be right now is your 3 or your 4 at best. You might be able to flex somebody else out there. You go a little bit smaller with Squirrel and Deuce Robinson and then Jalen Lucas or Mekhi Danzy you can't get on the field yet.
I think the overall disappointment we feel now in the loss of Hakeem had everything to do with the fact that, wait a minute, you really coveted that player. You did everything in your power to ensure that you held off Miami and others from getting him, securing him. Yes, it was an aggressive run of teams that you had to fend off for him because you valued his skill set. You told basically with the money you spent on him and the efforts that you made as a coaching staff and coupled with the collective, you basically said, this is a kid we cannot miss on. And you got nothing out of him. And he's added to the list of players that is true, that you can say that about. That's a lot of them. Like every offensive lineman you've signed for 10 years.
Yeah, it reminds me of, again, I'm looking at free agency for examples because college football's now free agency. But we see it every year in NFL free agency that a team that's destined to win 7 to 9 games in a regular season goes and grabs a 30-year-old receiver who has 800 yards the last few years. You're like, really, that's going to make the difference? That's going to be the thing that pushes you over the top? I feel that way about now and this group. I mean, they love what they saw in Boggs in camp. They can't stop talking about him.
They love him, and I liked what I saw too.
So, and they like Deuce and Squirrel very much. They think those are hits. If you brought in a receiver who's productive that has multiple years, understood.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you bring in a guy who's in his final year, knowing how overly expensive the market is for that, I'd say, for what? Like, what's the difference? You might as well let some of these young kids shine. And the only way that you would do it to me is if you think that, well, I'm not sure that we've hit on any of these guys. And that would be where the frustration comes from. But no, if they're not active in the market, especially, again, for what it costs, I'd feel better about that than I would if they're trying to run down 3 or 4 players. You know they're paying a lot, and now you're going to create issues about who's making the most money.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not as concerned. I'm not as hand-wringing as a lot of the people and I see in this fan base right now wondering, listen, guys, they got to have this, they got to have that. They're going to be lacking some things. They're not an elite team. They're not an elite team right now. They're not an elite program right now. They're aspiring to be, but you have to stop the bleeding. You got to put a tourniquet on this thing. Last year was a catastrophic injury, if you will. You've got to stop the bleeding, get healthy, build your strength back up, get to where you can start being more aggressive and do all the things you were doing before the injury, if you will. And that there are steps to that. It's very frustrating sometimes. And you want to be further along than you are in the moment. And I get that there's resentment that also comes with that. It's almost, to continue down the road with the analogy, it's almost as if somebody was incompetent. Their incompetence led to your injury. And now you just wish you could be your old self again, but you're having to go through all these hoops, jump through these hoops to get there. Yeah, well, that's what recouping is. That's what recovery is. And they don't have unlimited funds the way that a Michigan does or an Ohio State does, or certainly a Georgia, if you will, right now seemingly gets everybody that they want.
Well, and even if you did, does the Hurry kid from San Jose State change what you are? Does the kid from BYU change what you are? I don't know. Am I oversimplifying this? Because the way I look at it is you've got 2 veterans that you brought in that you like. You're getting Lucas back, and he's a Swiss Army knife. You really like the freshman that you got in Boggs. You've got some rising redshirt freshmen in McCoy and Elijah Moore and BJ Gibson. And there's a couple of players I'm not naming in that equation. Cam Fryer was hurt last year. But you've got enough dudes, I think, in a Gus Malzahn offense that doesn't like to rotate a whole lot anyway. Why spend the money there? Am I reading that wrong? Am I oversimplifying it?
No, I'm with you on this. I think some members of our staff disagree with you and me. They think they had to go out and get a player that has been productive. I was like, well, that's what you just did. That's what you did with Squirrel White. You assessed, and the biggest key was Squirrel. And he achieved a lot in the SEC. He was very productive. So that goes a long way with me. But he was hurt. So to me, when you went after him, you had to have believed that he was going to make a full recovery, but not just a full recovery, that he was going to be the player he was prior to the injury. So by doing what you did in pursuing and signing him, it tells me you believe that. Okay, well, then he ought to be plug and play because he was at Tennessee. He ought to be plug and play. And then obviously we don't know that as much with Deuce, but you look at his body type and you look at what he is and you realize he's played some, so you know he's going to have an opportunity to make plays. That's two right there. And then from there, we both think pretty highly of Lil Wayne McCoy. We think he can play a little bit. What are you doing with Elijah Moore if he's not ready to play at all again this year? I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. And they love Boggs. So, yeah, that's the thing to me is what message are you sending? Because we could certainly be wrong. And we've often said the coach's actions mean the most, more than our opinions. But what are they saying? Are they saying that they're worried about Squirrel's health or that they might not have hit on any of these young kids? Like, why would you feel the need?
The fan base's fear is the latter because they've whiffed a lot on a lot of guys. And this would be a trend that continues that is unacceptable in every way, shape, or form. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722.
Is your home ready for anything? At Parker Services AC and Electrical, we do more than just keep you cool. We keep your whole home running smoothly. From AC maintenance and duct cleanings to whole home generator installations, we've got everything you need for comfort and reliability. Join our Peak Performance membership to keep your HVAC system in top shape and catch issues before they turn into costly repairs. And with a reliable generator, you'll never be left in the dark again. Call Parker Services today, where comfort is just a call away. Log license number CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
Hey, Greg, did you know that some cars are more prone to auto glass damage than others?
I did not know that.
Yeah, a Jeep windshield is flat, making it very prone to damage. Nissan Rogues are popular. Toyotas, Subarus are always in my shop because they get damaged frequently and they require recalibration.
So you guys see a lot of SUVs.
Yeah, I guess the angle of the glass has a lot to do with it.
But it's not like you can avoid a rock no matter what you're driving.
Exactly. So just go to SeminoleAutoglass.com and let us take care of everything for you.
So how often do you see a DeLorean?
From time to time. Better call Seminole.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke, it's Matt and Brett Oster with America in View.
Matt, Florida has become the world leader for freedom, and I love being in the studio with you every week where we are reinforcing the conservative movement with truth, the Constitution, and a little redneck common sense. We're waking the woke.
That's right, Brett. We enjoy talking politics and what's going on in the world. We're bringing our take on the issues, doing our best to fight for freedom.
So tune in every Friday at 4 p.m. on Real Talk 93.3.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Your sports flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
The NFL draft is getting underway tonight in Green Bay, Wisconsin for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They once again have a high draft pick. They will be selecting number 5 overall. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are selecting number 19 overall. And the Miami Dolphins, they are going to select number 13 overall in the first round. Baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays, they get an 11-inning win yesterday over Arizona, winning by a 7-6 score. Series does continue tonight for the Miami Marlins. They lose to the Reds yesterday by a 5-2 score. Marlins are off today. Tomorrow, they're going to open up a series on the road against Seattle. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Confident is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort. Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort? Yes. Comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort. Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Yeah, we told you. Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
I got some pretty spooky news from my Paul's termite and pest control technician the other day. It turns out that I'm sharing my home with Formosan termites. Those little monsters do damage about 4 times faster than the regular termites. Fortunately, Paul's discovered them on a routine general pest service, and they've already turned the Formosans back using an amazing treatment called Centricon.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader in this non-invasive treatment. Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations. These stations are placed around the home. Termites are present, they feed, and take it back to the colony, which is then destroyed. To learn more about Centricon and a free consultation, go to callpauls.com for the elimination of termite or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
whether or not it doesn't feel like it, Tom. The more that we go through the draft mocks, the later in the process it got, and the closer it got to actual draft day, which again is today, the more I began to realize our guy is probably not going in the first round. He did a lot to help himself. Azareye'h Thomas, Florida State, went from early in the process, pre-Senior Bowl stuff and all of the projections to, a guy that was a third rounder and to a guy that was in many mocks for a stretch there, a late first rounder. More and more, I think he's an early second rounder. I think that's what we're seeing here, which is great. He'll get paid and he'll be in the league a long time. I think he's got a chance to be a very good pro and a very long-term good pro. Works hard, smart, stays, this is a guy who stays locked in, stays focused, does all the right things, has the length, the athleticism, the skill. They got to get him more physical. But other than that, I think he might have been making, and I'm not trying to besmirch his character here, I think a lot of people were making business decisions last year, and he may have been one of them as well.
Yeah, I think that he's somebody who certainly still could go in the first round because you have a lot of like talent, and at that point it just comes down to personal preference. But I agree with you. The buzz isn't there the way it was after the Senior Bowl and through the Combine and the first couple of weeks after the Combine. It's kind of gotten quiet. Now, sometimes that means nothing, and with the 27th pick, yada, 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 selects Azareye'h Thomas. It could happen. But good for him. Another kid who's improved his stock. And I think Josh Farmer did the same. There's a lot of stink that comes with 2-10. And so you've got to fight through that. It's a reputation that we don't try, that we don't care, that we're a failing program. And you have to overcome those hurdles. So AZ did that. And I think Farmer did that as well, because by most estimations, he should be drafted tomorrow, which is great. And he's got a shot to be a good one for a long time.
You bring up something that's interesting. That's the other part of it. It's how quickly this has all happened. It's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me that you go from mass producing elite talent, 10 guys, whatever it was, I think, into the league off an undefeated regular season team, to what happened this last year. When you did have all of those players drafted, you can recall last year at this time, when the players were taken, there was a buzz. There was a sense of, well, there's another Florida State guy, and you can certainly see why they were in position to go to the playoff. And it was intimated by some on those desks, like, hey, guys, they were more than Jordan Travis. There goes another Noel. And then obviously, as it transpired, you had the Rookie of the Year. And good Lord, had he not won it, his teammate might have, who's also a Noel, and Braden Fisk. And you began to hear that talk right now, much to our chagrin, didn't do us any good. Thanks for the apologies after the fact, everybody. Yeah, they kind of were more than Jordan Travis. They had a boatload of players that were NFL players. That's why they were able to overcome an offense that was substandard even with Jordan last year in the second half, or 2 years ago, in the second half of the season. They couldn't run the ball effectively, very consistently. They became kind of a one-trick pony, and yet they still won the league, went undefeated, did those things. My point is, you could puff out your chest a little bit. You could feel really good about what was happening. You could sense that, okay, well, here we go. There's more where that came from. We've got this, and you know what? And it just didn't happen. It didn't materialize. The thing I worry about is you have the two right now. You're already having it. It's revealing itself how difficult it is to recruit after 2-10. It's hard to get people to consider, elite players to consider you after 2-10.
Are we referring to the suck tax? Is that what we're referring to here?
Paying the suck tax.
It's everywhere. The tax is everywhere. It's in all things. Reputation pro in high school.
Yeah.
Season ticket sales, merchandise sales, hotel rooms, all of it. The suck tax is here. But it might get you a cheaper flight to Tallahassee for a game weekend this fall. You never know.
I do want to note that we keep pointing to the fact that Florida State will definitely have at least 2 players drafted. I've seen several of those, and God bless you if you're one of those poor bastards that has to do this. These folks that are required to put together a 7-round mock, I'd quit. You want me to project the 6th round You want me to take the 18th pick of the 6th round and tell you, I got a good sense it's going to be that third-string receiver from BC. He's got good measurables. I know he had 4 catches in college. People like him. Like, that's got to be the worst because you're making it up at that point. What are you doing? You're making it up. Anyhow, I've seen some projected 7-round mocks that were handed down as an assignment to the guy they hate the most on the staff.
So hang on a minute. Hang on. So you're reading these 7-round mocks.
Oh, I'm the ass that they're catering to.
Right. So you would want that job then. You might as well be writing it if you're going to read it anyway.
No. I don't read all 7 rounds. I look for Florida State players and I move on. I'm not sitting there going, I wonder if that backup right tackle from Pitt is going to get drafted. I liked him. He came in and did a good job. He was more than serviceable.
I'm sure some outlets look at their 6th and 7th round and they say, ooh, I need to put a Florida State player in here just so we can get some clicks from Jeff and Tallahassee and people like him. We don't have enough Florida State players at the back end of the draft. That drives up page traffic by about 8%.
Uh-huh. Well, when you do it, when you extrapolate it out, you find that there's some teams that are considering in the draft, not just to sign as a free agent, looking at our special teams wonders. That's right. Ryan Fitzgerald could get drafted. He was fantastic. And if it happens, and I do, in all jokes aside, if it happens for Fitzgerald, that's a cool story because I think we forget he sucked. He was an embarrassment for a long stretch of time in which it was impossible to watch games and know that you could not turn to him to make the simplest of kicks. A 38-yarder was in question, Tom. Mike having to make asinine decisions. 4th and 7 from their 37. He's like, got to go for it. No chance this kid's going to make it.
And from their 17, he'd do it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where now why do I say that sounds harsh? No, that's the reality of the situation. He had the yips. He was a golfer who could not make good contact with the ball, couldn't make a putt from 3 feet. Just crazy. It watched over and over again. It was unbelievable. And then got past it, worked hard, and made everything. He didn't just come back, made everything constantly. Anything you needed. I got this. Less than a stellar first half in Ireland against Georgia Tech, feeling a little shaky. Run out there and make us a 59-yarder, kid. We need it. Got you. I'll do it. Overseas, I got us.
I would have traded that kick for the one against NC State 2 years earlier because then we would have gone 10-2 that season.
Yes, we would have. But anyhow, the point is the kind of mental resolve that it takes to do that, to come back from that is, and then let's say he gets drafted. Good for him, man. I mean that. I ended up meeting his parents, and it was funny because, I mean, I'm sure they heard my thoughts on their son's ineptitude when he was going like he was going, which was, I mean, there are kids in town that play high school football that we need to reach out to. This is getting ridiculous. But to bounce back like that is awesome. I hope he does get drafted. For that matter, Mastromanno should too. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, let's go. Let's add. And then, that way when you're sitting around, you go, well, Knowles had 4 guys drafted this year. You could.
I'm just waiting for the first broadcast this year that says, and maybe it's the Alabama game. Boy, that John Papuchis does an incredible job with special teams in Tallahassee. They had 2 kickers drafted this last year.
It'd be cool. By the way, there's a lot of guys. Ronald Darby's still in the league.
Yep.
Mario Edwards Jr. is still in the league.
He makes plays once in a while, too.
Dustin Hopkins still in the league. Yeah, if you go down the list, it's impressive that there's that many guys still in the league from some of those. Graham Gano is still in the league. Good Lord. Now that's going back.
Yeah, that was that season. Colorado on the road changed everything about him. You talk about a light bulb moment for Fitzy when it flips one way or the other. That was Gano on the road to Colorado. Everything was Groza-esque, and what do they give the punters? Esque from that point on.
He was should be the Ray Guy.
Ray Guy,
yeah. Bobby Hart is still in the league.
What? Is that right?
Yeah, he was with the Commanders.
Well, good for him.
Bobby Hart out here cashing checks. Not everybody. And by the way, when I say still in the league, some of these guys are on practice squads and all the like. But yeah, you can.
Good old Bobby Hart had a rough national championship game.
Yeah, yeah. But you sit around, you're like, all right, well, who else is? Some of these guys were in the league, had a cup of coffee. Some ended up on a practice squad. But they were associated with, still with, signing with free agents that still dancing around the league a little bit. And that's cool. Like, I wondered what happened to Kier Thomas. And, what's interesting, Kier, was the Rams. The Rams love the hell out of Florida State. I mean, Cam Akers going back.
Yeah, watch them take Farmer.
Well, if you're the Rams and you had the production that they got from the two they just picked, they got to be like, they're doing something right down there in Tallahassee.
Listen, Odell, do you want a consulting job with us here? You don't even have to live here. We just need to get you on Zoom with these guys. But you could have Farmer and Fisk and Verse together. Oh, buddy.
And Kier.
That's true. He is making the active roster, right?
Yeah, he made the active roster last year. Kier Thomas was on the roster. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. Now, there were guys that were productive. It'll be very interesting to see this year whether Trey Benson takes a step. Played in every game, was available. He was used kind of as a guy to spell. He wasn't ever really given the reins in any way. And I understand why, but this is the year. Like, you get the adjustment period.
Yeah, and you could see him be a game breaker in limited reps, the way that Carlos Williams was. Now, Trey's not the athlete. I'm not trying to say that Carlos was. Carlos is one of very few. But it's the same kind of style where in college you go, does he really know where he's going? But God, when he decides, he goes really fast.
He goes really fast.
And he'll break a tackle now. And because Trey, it was only him and Bijan Robinson in his first season here at Florida State. It was only him and Bijan in this elusiveness rating list of broken tackles and forced missed tackles and all that stuff. So, yeah, I could see where he'd have even if it's 8-9 touches a game, he might be one of those guys you grab on fantasy because he's on a 6-game touchdown streak.
So if Azaria goes in the second round, you won't see him tonight, but you will tomorrow. And then Josh Farmer, according to most projections, is a third-round guy. If you unlock the key to the motivation, to the down-to-down discipline, focus, heart, all that stuff, Josh Farmer's got the tools. He's strong as an ox. He is, during stretches of a time, he was the most dominant player he won the Cal game. He was unblockable.
I thought his effort was largely consistent in a year where many weren't trying as hard. He was one of few that I think from start to finish last year. I'd love him in Tampa. Shoot, you line him up next to Sue? Outstanding.
Not next to Sue. You're thinking of
Vita.
Yeah. I was
thinking of 3-letter last names. Forgive me.
Dominican Sue. No. Signed Tom. You got me all
clearly.
good.
I mean, Kalijah Kancey, which is what they compared him to when they drafted him. It's like, well, here's his comp. The best, not named Aaron Donald.
Yeah, man, that was. Thank goodness we got Sue when we did get him, though.
We got
a lot out of Sue. He was a good player.
As Eddie once said, we got Ndam Yukong. We got that one.
We did, and the thing was, if you recall, he put the fear of God in Aaron Rodgers, who wouldn't take off to run it into the end zone in the game against Green Bay in the play. The reason he didn't was Sue was there. He was like, I want no.
Well, he was also thinking about peyote and sensory deprivation chambers.
Farmer is well thought of in this draft for a lot of reasons because they think, hey, look, 3 technique, we can also play him at nose. You can do a lot of different things with him, so I'm rooting for him. I actually always got along with him, talking with him. I didn't think he was a bad guy. I think he got a bit of not a bad rap. His reputation took a hit when he was asking for more money along with his buddy there, and that was frustrating.
They don't do that anymore, do they?
Man, that Arkansas story just still blows me away. They cashed the check. You're going to have to give us some money back, my man. That's just straight up stealing. What are we doing? It's a 6-figure check. Give us our money back.
I think there's a way once that all gets settled that you can mandate that, much like when a coach buyout is paid by the new institution, like the new collective can front the fee. And so, look, here's part of your comp. We're going to give you $1 million, but 200 of that, of course, is your buyout at your former institution. So you're going to net 8. What do you say, young man? Like, that's going to have to be part of the new formula.
Yeah, it's going to, again, every day this goes by, we end up circling back to this has to happen sooner rather than later. It is so effing aggravating to watch this play out every day and not feel like, because we began the day, I was asking you, well, it doesn't look like there's a lot of guys that they're going to go after. Doesn't look like Florida State's efforting to bring in a ton of players, and I'm fine with that. Not everybody is. We debate the reasons and all of that. But I do know, like, let's say there was a splash player that you were going to bring in that you were excited about. Well, we've seen now examples where hold your breath because you could get a kid to agree and there could be an NIL deal involved and they ride before the season begins.
Well, in this particular case, once it's closed in April, they can't play. Now they can't play in the fall.
But they can leave.
They could leave. Yes, they could leave.
Yeah. Just walk out the door. Nothing you can do about it. It's just a kind of nonsense.
They always could do that. Now, that was always something that they could do.
Not without penalty, not with like severe penalty, not without, and you couldn't just go anywhere. This now it's like, oh, wherever. Clearly, school's not any part of it.
Yeah, you think a rival, if they perceived us as a threat, would call the kid and say, look, we'll give you $1 million next year.
To do nothing.
You got to sit out right now.
Yeah, you got to sit right now. Oh, yes, if you were swimming in it, you could. Yeah, let's kneecap him. Let's call down there and let him know he can't play for anybody.
Tommy C., I know you already have 800 yards in your first 4 games. This is
shut it down.
This is Crystal Balls calling. This is Crystal Balls. Here's what I need from you.
Yeah.
No mas.
Shut it down.
You've already left one team. You could do it again.
Unbelievable.
Here's a $1.5. Just don't play.
Shannon Young has made a move, speaking of which, to be part of the nation's largest mortgage company, now with Cross Country Mortgage. That's good news for you. Better rates, better options, stronger support, faster response, all the things that you want. And from 7 different states, Florida, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Texas, and the Carolinas. Things change, but Shannon's hard work, 20-plus years of experience, relentless goal-oriented attitude, that energy, that passion, that intelligence, and that unwavering commitment to you, helping his fellow Noles get the best, and others, best loan options to buy your new home. And who doesn't want that? I know Shannon personally, know him very well. He's a friend of mine, and I vouch for him. He does a great job. Loansfornoles.com. That's loansfornoles.com. Hey, Noles fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansfornoles.com. That is, again, loansfornoles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Noles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansfornoles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansfornoles.com.
Equal housing, NMLS 373031.
When you need the plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to wait?
Hey guys, we really need you over here. My toddler just flushed a whole bunch of toys down the toilet, and everything, and I mean everything, is backing up.
2 hours?
Hey guys, just checking in. The water has reached the hallway now, and it's getting pretty deep. Can you get here anytime soon?
4 hours?
Hey guys, can you please hurry? Now my wiener dog is doing the backstroke over here, and they're not known to be strong swimmers. Hey honey, grab his life jacket.
8 hours?
Oh, so now you're here.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. Our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. And now M&L Plumbing can also be your go-to for all septic tank pump-out services. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing. Your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or online at mnlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
I'm ready to relax, so I call Swain Pools and Spas. I put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
It's springtime in Tallahassee, and there's nothing better than soaking it all up in your very own hot tub from Swain Pools and Spas. Swain Pools and Spas is the home for Caldera and free flow spas in North Florida. And Swain has the right pricing and tub size options to fit any yard and any budget with quick and easy financing options. Swain even has hot tubs that can plug right into your existing electrical outlets, so there's no additional installs needed. Visit SwainPools.com. That's SwainPools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care. Stop in today for everything from an oil change and brake repair and tires to alignments and transmission. Big or small, we do it all. It's Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip. Tallahassee Car Care, right next to Swain Pools and Spas.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Funny that it wasn't too long ago that I talked about how fun it would be, and this one applies to the NFL draft. I'll get to the gist of this story in a second. Remember I was telling you that I listened to a podcast about how there is a company, I think it's based in London. It's owned by an American, started in California. This guy's background is that of a music background, has advanced degrees in music theory and all this other stuff. And he is the one, the individual who was interviewed was the one, I can't remember his name right now, was the interview who had come up with the basically those little music jingles, little jingle packages that you hear like when you go to YouTube or when you go to Hulu or you go to Netflix and you go,
right.
And they talked about how it goes all the way back to HBO. You used to remember the HBO song, and as soon as you, all that, with the TV screen and all that, that there's a person or people, there are experts in that field who figure out what connects to the human brain, what brings you back, what actually, in many ways, we see it now. We talk about the dopamine hits for kids that just scroll nonstop because they're just getting what they need instant. And they're not learning anything, just one after the other. Well, you have to find things that you associate with, and it has to be pleasing. And these jingles, like the Netflix one, the Hulu one, or any of the ones. I don't know what your favorite is, if you have one. If you had thought about it, what is your favorite of the ones? The
which one is that?
I don't remember, but that one exists. I don't know.
I do. The Disney Plus click is very satisfying because it almost sounds like a seatbelt buckle. Like,
yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think the Hulu one's good.
The Hulu one is good. I couldn't even hit that note to try and mimic it because I'm watching Handmaid's Tale's back, so I'm watching that.
I don't like the forcefulness of
Netflix.
Netflix is
too
forced.
much.
It's forced, but it works.
Yeah, but it's super
we all
loud.
know it. It is loud. And if you're trying to watch Netflix while your spouse is asleep and you go to Netflix, I'm like, oh, sorry about that. Just what are you gonna do? It's Netflix.
No, that's fair.
That's a toughie. Well, here you go. The themes that we know: ESPN's NHL theme, the CBS March Madness theme. Bob Christensen is the name you need to know. He is behind them both. When ESPN approached him in 2005 to craft a chime for the NFL draft, he was the one who figured it out. The stupid little bells.
Do, 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 do.
That's him.
All right.
So he came up with that. He came up with the NHL theme song that everybody loves. And he came up with CBS March Madness, which is also awesome.
Holy cow. Those sound very different, so he's got a little range to him.
He's got skills. Quote, they asked me to make it. I wanted it to be as Bell-like as possible. It had to be in the treble. I knew it. That treble would alert the audience without being intrusive. They would know.
Without being intrusive is right. It's just a pleasant sound.
Oh, you're like, the pick is in, everybody?
The only other one that, well, ESPN had several. The Bottom Line one at 27:57 was great. But then also the Baseball Tonight update.
Loved it.
Oh, we've got an update now.
Yeah.
Runners in scoring position in Seattle, and that one served it. That sound was awesome, too.
It's funny that this is the ties that bind. We talk about sport all the time, like the feelings, the stories, the impact, the emotional, all of it. And it's all these little chimes, and we all know them, and we can go back eons. Quote, it cuts through. It doesn't have to be loud, and it doesn't have to be in your face. It's almost subliminal. That's what I was going for, which is all the reason why people say they like it. They've caught on to it. They've heard it. Whether they know it or not, they know it. The chime he created is now a universal signal. And the pick is, and you get the thing. So he's talked about that. He has, listen, that happens 250 plus times in a draft. That's a lot. In the early 2000s, ESPN experimented with different ways to cover the draft. The network incorporated live shots of players who weren't in attendance there at Radio City Music Hall, cut into the team's war rooms. I always like the team's war rooms. They're talking about the evolution of the draft and how that coverage has blossomed into what it is now, and that, I swear to God, the NFL just doesn't miss, man. They just don't miss. You go back and watch the NFL films. The NFL Network will show NFL films, and all those are great. All of them, they're all great. You can watch the Rozelle era, on and on and on, and you'll watch when the draft happened. And the draft looked ridiculous back in the day, by way of comparison. It's like some slappy in a room sitting at a desk that costs $7.
Cigarette smoke everywhere.
Yeah, they don't have a television in there. There's a rotary phone. The whole thing is ridiculous. Like, Phil's on the line.
Who did they take?
It's ridiculous.
I'm expecting Phil. It should be Phil.
There's a secretary in the back just hyping away. It's like the whole thing is hilarious. It's like Mad Men. It's funny. And then
Bernard O'Keefe, Nebraska.
Yeah, like, damn it. Bob, hand me that sheet. So that's where they were back in the day. But now it's become this massive deal, obviously. And, not only did they go to the war room, but later on, they started having live interviews with head coaches as it happened. They began to show the relationships, and they recorded the calls, which is really, really cool. And they're kind of talking about that evolution that you'll see again tonight. Steve Ackles, an associate producer at the time, going back to when they were starting to put this all together, the early broadcast, he suggested they create an alert letting everybody know that now you got to pay attention. You got to listen up because something is about to happen, which created the anticipation. And that guy was right. I always remember the draft being on, but it was always in the background. And you're doing some stuff around the house, I always thought. Then all of a sudden, you started hearing things, and it changed the way that you interacted with the draft. I used to be a producer with Monday Night Football, and I thought, there's some sort of alert or a chime we got to have with this thing. I'll talk to the commissioner. They got to figure out a way to make people pay more attention to what's about to happen. That's the extent to the drama that happens in Major League Baseball, or any baseball game for that matter, that a lot of what's happening is sort of ancillary. But when a pitcher gets the ball back, there's this anticipatory nature to all of that. Like, no, here we go. They're setting it up. Here it comes.
Hey, man, you know who understands that is wrestling with the intros.
Oh, yeah.
The broken glass of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, man, there's a reason people jump out of their chairs. Like, oh, or the gong, the bell for the Undertaker. Boom, and the whole, it primes you. It's perfectly termed. It primes you for what comes next.
And so, by the way, good job. I didn't know it at the time. I read this article in the New York Times this morning. The pitch that this guy made landed with ESPN creative music director Kevin Wilson, who, by the way, was the one who would come up with the programming for the 28th and 58th minute of every hour for the Sports Center News Alert sound. So now this guy was like, oh, I agree with you. Don't you like this?
And if your team was ranked like Florida State was so often in those days in the top 5, and you sprint to your television and you see number 6 Arizona State and they're screaming, damn it, I missed it. I don't know what happened. And you got to wait a half an hour.
This is smart, too. They figured out, they were like, you ought to do something kind of like the New York Stock Exchange with the bell. Like that whole thing. And he originally they thought, okay, yeah, the bell that opens or closes the day of trading, that sounds good, right? But we wanted it to be a little bit more gentle. We wanted it to a little bit more musical than that. And he said, look, I think we can produce this. We can make it short and sweet. The first variation of the chime that you now hear, the very first version, do you know when that debuted?
Oh, God.
And by the way, it did not debut with the first pick in the draft. It debuted with the second pick in this particular draft. Was the first time they used it.
07.
04.
Oh, all right. Ballpark.
In 05, it was tweaked to kind of match the New York Stock Exchange bell, ringing as then Commissioner Paul Tagliabue announced Alex Smith was the number 1 pick, Tom. What a day for you.
Good day. It's a real good day.
Selected by San Francisco, whom you don't care anything about.
No.
The network.
Good colors, though.
Decided, nah, too much. A little too much. So then they did a rock shuffle, which didn't work either.
A rock shuffle?
Yeah, a little rock shuffle.
What is that describing the sound? Is that the Rock got up on stage and did a shuffle?
No, that's the sound. Rock shuffle.
Okay.
Rock shuffle that resonated. He was hoping that it would resonate. Football is more in your face, which means we need more drums. A football tune is a little slower than, say, a basketball tune, which is a little slower than, say, a hockey tune. You sort of have to go where the sport is and what the energy is and what they're putting out. So eventually we arrived at the opposite of everything he's describing.
That's great. Well, it's got a little bit of grandfather clock and Christmas chime to it. You know what I mean? Like those combinations. That's what that sound reminds me of. It's not the New York Stock Exchange. It sounds like when a grandfather clock is priming to tell you what hour it is. These are the noises that it would make.
Obviously, you're getting into psychology with this too, with the whole Pavlov dogs thing. And, like I was thinking about that before, like how we're all the salivating mutt. I mean, because as soon as my kids turn on something, if I'm in the kitchen doing something, I know which of the platforms they're on. Ooh, I wonder what they're going to watch. That was YouTube. That was, like they got me. Yeah, you lean in, and so he went on to say, I had minimal exposure to all of that psychology in college, but I understood it. And I went back and read all of the behavioral principles and sought to find a noise that would fall into that umbrella. By the way, with the chime set to debut during the 2006 NFL draft, the one we know now, first-year Commissioner Roger Goodell approached the podium with the Houston Texans holding the number 1 pick, and he announced who?
Carr.
Mario Williams as the number 1 selection. But the music wasn't queued up. The chime didn't play. There was panic. In fact, they didn't fix it until the 8th pick by the Buffalo Bills, which was whom?
Man, I wish I could just even give you a name.
There's no chance. It's Buffalo Bills safety Dante Whitner.
Dante Hittner.
It's funny to go back. The fun exercise, and if you have time before tonight, you guys should do it. You'll love it. It's great. Just go back and look at your team or teams in your division if you have time. Their first 2 or 3 picks of every draft for the last 5 years, 4 years, 10 years if you'd like. You really do begin to understand how many disappointing selections there are. You can't, I mean, there are some where you see they were red hot. I mean, red hot. You'll watch a stretch where you go, man, they didn't whiff on anybody in the first 3 rounds for about 6 years. I mean, they got something out of all these guys. And then there's stretches where you go, Ooh, I don't know how that dude stayed employed as long as he did. None of these dudes are in the league. They didn't last for a year. And it's weird how many times I've gone back and found a pick that is either in the first or second round. You've got to give me something if you're a first or second round pick. Like, you don't have to be a star, but you have to stay in the league and at least provide some. If you're a second round pick, you've got to be on special teams. You got to do something. And there are guys who are like, who the hell is that? I don't remember Gene Faction. Who's Gene Faction? Oh, he was out of the league an hour after he got drafted. What happened?
Wait a minute. Tell me that's a real name.
No.
That is an awesome name.
Gene Faction.
Gene Faction.
I just made it up. But I forgot we drafted Gene Faction out of Ole Miss.
That's got to be a running back.
He sucked.
I think Gene Faction's a running back.
How come Gene didn't make it? Effing Gene Faction cost us dearly.
Maybe a safety. I think those are the only two
Gene
positions.
Faction?
Gene
I don't
Faction.
know. Gene is a slow white guy who plays right guard.
Oh, no, man.
Gene Faction. Come on. Gene Faction lives down the street from me. Oh, I saw Gene Faction when I was walking the dogs.
Gene Faction would be the star
I
of
haven't
Jacked
seen
Up.
Gene in weeks. Is he all right?
It's like, oh, you know, if Gene Faction makes this segment, everybody hold on to your hats.
Gene Faction. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Leon High School student was arrested Monday after being accused of assaulting a teacher over school policy, according to the Leon County Sheriff's Office. The incident unfolded Monday when a teacher at Leon High approached a 10th grader for using a phone in class and drinking a beverage. The LCSO wrote in a press release Tuesday, both actions by the student are violations of school policy. However, during the encounter, LCSO said the student slapped the teacher, shoved him to the ground, and punched him several times. Since then, the student has been arrested and faces a charge of battery on a school official. The 10th grader was also transported to the Juvenile Assessment Center. Additionally, the student is also expected to be disciplined in accordance with the Leon County School Student Code of Conduct, per the Sheriff's Office. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 86. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 65. Highs level off around 87 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 82.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And,
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So Cam Ward will be the number 1 pick tonight. There doesn't seem to be any mystery regarding that. And I wonder if you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, I'm sure you do you get excited, or do you think, man, he is representative or at least emblematic of how it is that we have gone about the business of competing in the ACC, which is to say we've achieved nothing? Because Cam, just like every Miami team that has ever played in the ACC that came before him, achieved nothing. It's got to suck. Like, you want to go, all right, Cam, way to go. You guys had Cam, that's right. You win the ACC? No. But you played in the ACC championship game? No, we did not. No. Oh, did you make the playoff? No. We didn't make the playoff.
Well, it was still the last year of the 4?
No, there was 12 teams. Wait, you had the number 1 pick in the draft at the most important position? How many millions of dollars did you give him? A lot. But you didn't compete for the championship. You didn't win the championship. You didn't make the college football playoff. No.
Syracuse got us at the end.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Well, at least you got him. You had him. You had that. You can always say.
Got a few suggestions for Gene Faction.
Yeah.
Quickly. Life Spectator says, is he going to be the next Ron Mexico? Gene Faction.
That'll be mine. I'll use that when I go on the road.
Is Jeff Cameron's room? We don't have one.
There's no Jeff Cameron. How about Gene Faction?
Room 620.
Yeah.
There you go. James B says it's a great game show host name. Price is Right, hosted by Gene Faction.
Welcome into the Price is Right. I'm Gene Faction.
And then Terry says, I just paid $30 on eBay for the 2017 Gene Faction rookie.
Check it out, Bob. Gene Faction. What you know about Gene Faction?
Also, his specific super fan club, it writes itself. You already are the Gene Faction.
Yeah. No, it does. I accidentally stumbled upon
That's
a great
name.
I don't know how I came up with it. Gene Faction. Gene Faction's the kind of name where 2 older guys munching on, they've got popcorn, pretzels, they're sipping a beer, they're watching a game in the fall. It's a nondescript game, doesn't really matter. They've been around, they've seen some things. They've had the good years and the bad years. Kids are off to college, they graduated, they've got their own lives now. Bob and Pete meet up every weekend, watch a little bit of the Giants game on Sunday. They're sitting there and they're like, remember Gene Faction? Oh, son of a bitch, do I remember Gene Faction. I'll never forget in 74. I think we were going to win it. Yep. Kansas City getting in. He went down the Kansas City game, and we never really could get the run game going again. Gene Faction got you the tough yards.
You remember the wild card game that weekend?
Oh,
I was at Mary and Todd's wedding. I had to sneak off to the Sizzler to watch the 4th quarter.
What do you have? Faction had 3 touchdowns that game?
He did. 2 in the 4th quarter because I was watching it. There were 3 of us in our Sunday best.
And he could catch the ball out of the backfield, too. Gene did have a little bit of everything. What's Gene doing now? Died, 84. Oh, that's right.
He'd just gotten the Schlitz campaign.
They always said Gene had a little issue with the coke. Now, I don't know if that's what caused the aneurysm, but he's out of the league at that point. It was a short career, but he was so productive.
He was destined with a name like that.
Gene Faction, yeah. Out of Purdue. He was. That's right, Purdue. Purdue hadn't had anybody since. No, not the great Gene Faction.
They called him General Gene in college.
The betting favorite, that is Cam Ward, as the number 1 pick, is minus 20,000. So, you could take your life savings, put it all on Cam Ward. There's been a trade. Son of a bitch. Can you imagine that moment you fall to your knees? No.
Shefty's on the screen. I'm told they're going with Shador Sanders at number 1.
No. Honey, why? Why do you care so much? No.
No reason.
Don't worry about it. Ward entered, as I said, is the minus 20,000. Colorado's Travis Hunter is favored to go second by a lot, minus 5,000. Waiting to get some value here, guys. Abdul Carter, minus 700. Will Campbell at number 4, minus 700. Boise State's Ashton Genty at number 5 to the Jags at minus 230. Got to keep going. Damn it, man. I think there'll be a shakeup before then. There'll be a little something. The Shedeur Sanders situation is really fascinating. There is real skepticism in the media about whether or not the Saints will take him with the 9th pick. If you're looking at the betting lines for that, a lot of people don't seem to think that's going to happen. He's continued to drop. The negative publicity around him is significant. The Steelers have the 21st pick. They don't think he'll drop below the 21st pick. If he's still there, the Steelers will take him at 21. He is still the favorite to be the second quarterback taken. The real upset in the draft, at least from a betting odds standpoint, everybody's got an opinion on the quarterbacks, but is if he wasn't the second quarterback taken, if he is the third or fourth quarterback taken. If he falls to the second round, there's some speculation of that too. But I mean, can you imagine if he goes after Jackson Dart or goes after? I don't get anything about the buzz about Milroe. I don't understand any of it. I continue to. That has to solely be about there may not be a better athlete in the draft than Milroe.
Yeah, it could be that. And now you've seen that you can win a Super Bowl with a non-traditional quarterback.
Well, but it's not about the non-traditional. They still have to do something exceptionally well. So, for example, what's his face, Richardson with the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
He's a freak. Nobody's ever looked like that and played quarterback other than Cam Newton. He's Cam Newton light. He's a freak of an athlete, a cannon. He's ass. He'll be out of the league in an hour. He is terrible. He does nothing well.
Sure, but you're going to swing for the downs, I think, in some of these circumstances because it's cheap. This isn't like it used to be 10, 15 years ago where you're going to hamstring your franchise, your live or die on this pick.
No, I'm with you. It's just interesting. If you draft a quarterback in the first round, how long are you comfortable waiting for him to produce for you?
I think these days 2 years. Now we've seen extreme examples of Josh Rosen had 10 minutes, and
he must have been a clubhouse cancer.
Which they couldn't have vetted that in the interview process.
Right. I mean, he had to have been like the world's worst teammate because that happened, like you say, very quickly.
Yeah. And you've seen guys get moved off of quicker and quicker because of these salary slottings. So, a year or two. And it could be that he could be an immediate plug-and-play stopgap, and you see what you got.
Well, listen, you're right. There are a ton of non-traditional quarterbacks that have made it, including the guy that just won the Super Bowl. And I'm happy for him. But he did something exceptionally well and needed the other thing to be refined. He just had to be more consistent as a passer. He's still not a great passer. He has his good days and his bad days as a passer. But he's an elite rusher. He is described as, I don't know him, but by everybody else, one of the great guys and leaders in the league, right? He's a son of a coach, and he gets it, and he is a tireless worker, and he's tough. So there's a lot of things that endear him to his teammates, and, he's willing to stick his neck in there always. That toughness is always going to go a long way in football. So they'll live with you working on all the other things that you're not great at if you have all those things. But, man, if you draft Milroe, you're saying, well, relative to what it means to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League, he doesn't possess passing skills to pass the test that are anywhere close to what's required. Not even close.
Yeah, but what you're showing in the recent past is, and it's all about where you pick him. I'm not saying he should be picked in the top, 10 or in the first round, but you have seen several cases now of quarterbacks who learned the throwing part later.
Yes.
And they had the singular ability to run first. Josh Allen was a running quarterback. So was Lamar. So is Jalen.
Yeah.
And to different degrees, they all still are. But
it's a huge element. And I want that element in my quarterback. Right. I mean, you don't have to be elite at it. A perfect example is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's not an elite runner, but he can hurt you.
Right.
If you fool around and turn your back to him, he's going to scamper for a first.
Well, this guy's going to scare you, and he's going to make you crap your, and I was almost doing a Joe Bucks fan there. but he's going to make you so scared with his legs that all you got to do is refine a little bit there. And that's probably worth a shot at the 45th pick if I don't have a quarterback. I think that would be my line of thinking is it's not too early to pick him in the second round, because if he's a dud, then so what? But if it works, I mean, this is a home run or a strikeout, but it could be a home run because now we've got precedent in other organizations that say that a guy like this can work.
It's true when you find a guy that is freakish athletically, where you go in, he is like not many people can do what he does athletically. That's fine. I'm with you on that. I'm just saying if you draft him in the first round, that's tough. I mean, that you're just waiting for that same situation to play out like it is in Indianapolis, where you're going, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, and it will prove to be that unless there's a drastic turn of events, but it doesn't cost you 5 years of your organization. It's worth a shot for 1 or 2. Because they were in a place where who else were they going to pick? Like, to me, the guy I would go grab, honestly, is McCord, and I would take him late, 3rd round, and you see what happens, as long as he's still there. But I think that's the guy that if you're looking for a passer to lead you, there's no value in the first round for me to go grab any of these guys. But McCord, if he's available around pick 80, pick 100, great. If you're not going to pick a thrower, then you go get you go get Milroe.
Yeah, I'm looking at, by the way, Anthony Richardson was the 4th overall pick in the 2023 draft. Yep. Good God, man.
Well, if it worked, it would have been, you would have been set and you would have been a real problem.
Yeah. I'm betting you it doesn't take long. Go research the 2023 draft and you'll be like, well, they could have had, you go on. I know it works that way. Hindsight's 2020, but damn, man. 4th pick for that kid. Final hour, 4th coming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Thomas Dickens from the Law Office of Marie Maddox. I'm a combat veteran and a former JAG. I've fought for our country, and now I fight to get you your back wages. If your boss has ever shorted your paycheck or withheld your overtime, you need to call me now. 850-383-4800. 850-383-4800. Or find us online at maddoxlaw.com. Offices in Tallahassee.
Like most of us, your home is your greatest investment. I mean, think about it. The financial benefits, the newfound freedoms of purchasing a home can contribute to your family's health and wealth and happiness. Well, with real estate trends pointing to a favorable market for buyers, this is the time to be sure of what you're buying or selling. And that is exactly why Joel Hagen's built ACL Home Inspections, providing you thorough, precise, and efficient service with same-day, easy-to-read digital reports. They'll even go with you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you want to buy. If you're planning to list your house before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection. Call today, 850-312-8919, 312-8919. Remember, before you buy or sell, call ACL.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1860186.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFT Greta Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Tampa Bay Rays today, $1.14 underdog with G. Rasmussen on the mound against Corbin Burns of the Diamondbacks -135, 8 under the total at Chase Field. Braves yesterday with a 4-1 win at home over the St. Louis Cardinals. The Braves open up a weekend series at Arizona tomorrow. Jacksonville Jaguars favored to take Ashton Genty, the running back from Boise State, with the 5th pick of the draft. Bookmakers have put the odds of Genty going to Jacksonville at -170. Cam Ward of the Miami Hurricanes, the heavy favorite at -20,000 to go number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. $250 bonus and you open up a GBank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MOVE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MOVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Did you know indoor air is 5 times more contaminated than outdoor air? E&B Heating and Air Conditioning offers plasma air cleaning solutions for continuous air purification throughout your home, eliminating harmful pollutants. Contact E&B today so you can breathe better tomorrow.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites.
A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
From Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Forward, I ought not do that. It ought not be the thing, but I try to get us closer. Like May sounds a lot better than April because it's a month closer to the start of football. June sounds even better than that, but you can't get there until you get to May. Pull us into May, Mr. Cameron.
Wheel me to your rigs.
I'm trying to get us there.
I hear you, Riggs. I hear you.
I'll get us there. We're getting to May together. Week's almost done. Ice cold beverage waiting on me tomorrow. Ooh. It's going to be a tall one.
Wait a minute. You're not having an icy cold beverage tonight for the draft?
Who knows? But I don't know. I've been clean as a whistle for a week.
Oh, well, yeah.
A week.
For the draft, you will be commencing then, I imagine.
I hope so. I don't know. Hey, listen, the other problem is I'm old. Like something sounds good at 3, 6, the bed sounds good. That's crazy. I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. And then I'm like, it's almost time for bed. I was teasing myself and my wife, and just the fact that I'm old, and every old person out there will understand this, or at least if you feel that way. It's like, man, when you were a kid, the last thing on earth you ever wanted to hear was that you had to go to bed. It just, you would, no. Like, and you would make up the craziest excuses for not going to bed and all that. And now man, don't mention to me that we could go to bed. Like 7:50. You want to go to the back? Just lay down and watch whatever. Oh, yeah. Shut it down. Lights out. Good night, dogs. Clickety-doo. Lock all the doors. Goodbye, outside world. You can go to hell. I'm going to lay down in my bed. I love this bed. I look at it like it's a human being that I've adored for all my life. I'm like, look at you. You're just beautiful. Beautiful bed, you.
You got Boys to Men playing in your mind?
Oh, man. All right, so draft night, we want to reiterate we are not making our way to the CP tonight. You can, but we are not. I had my days mixed up, and tonight is the Big Beer Bingo night at Corner Pocket, so they've got the TVs reserved for the numbers. I have always thought bingo was an underrated game. I love bingo.
It is. There's plenty of TVs for the draft, but you're not going to have the audio
Right.
until a little bit later, probably around pick 10 or so. Bingo does whoop ass.
It does.
Even the smell of the recycled paper that they have for the sheets. I don't know why. It probably evokes memories of the newspaper itself.
Oh, love the smell of a newspaper.
Yep. And then the smell of the marker that you press down on the numbers for. It's good stuff.
So that is, listen, it's more my fault than anything else. Corner Pocket's got enough TVs for you, but I did that. I'm the one. Because it wasn't an official thing. Like, we weren't gearing up with specials and all that other stuff. And then I realized later on, oh, man, this happens to be a Thursday. This is their big bingo night. And there's nothing wrong with having a big bingo night. It's a good thing.
With some serious cash.
Can you? Can you win a lot of cash over there?
Significant amount for the investment that you would put in.
Where do you stand on the Zurich? You watch that thing?
I think people want to know where you stand in terms of who you placed wagers on.
I did.
If there's somebody I've heard of on a Sunday, sure. But I am not forcing my way to watch the third round moving day at the Zurich or Sunday.
What happens with the Zurich is that you kind of take the week off from watching Because, and this is something that Liv should have learned early on, and they still haven't. And that is team golf sucks. Nobody cares about team golf. Stop trying to shove team golf down our throat. It sucks. Unless it's college, and we know that's an entirely different sort of thing, and for the reason that it is. That's fine.
Rough day for the lads today, the ACC championship.
I didn't see.
Whole lot of back nine, nothing, or worse. It's okay. It's not the one that matters. The regional matters, but tough day.
Rory and Lowry today shot a 64, 8 under, not going to get it done. In the team format, you're going to see much better scores than a 64, and you've seen a 58 and a 57 out there, I think. So, yeah, you're going to have to do better.
Yeah, you'd have to do a bracket. That's the only way that the team event would work, as you go head-to-head with another team.
However, yours truly's Hisatsun and Kenyaya are both in the top. That team is in the top 6, and I got them.
Ooh.
Hisatsun.
Okay.
And Kenyaya. And I picked them.
These guys are on the tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Hisatsun guy has been really good lately. You can get it. He's a cut bacon Jesse. Finished top 20 last week, Tommy. Won a little money on him. So I've got them, and they finished 10 under today. I'm going to lose to whoever went with the Hogards because they are whooping ass at 13 under today with a 59. But yeah, there's it's tough to bet on the Hardy and Riley, Chappell and Hoagie, Ryan Thigala. It's not a lot of fun. I sprinkled some pizza money this week on a couple of teams, including the aforementioned Hisatsun and Kenyaya, and they're number 6. They're 3 shots off the lead. We'll see. Now that would be a big win for me if that happened.
Yeah, where I stand on that tournament is there's a whole lot of playoff sports, and there's baseball, and there's a whole lot of other stuff.
Well, and the only reason I've ever really paid attention to it at all is because I ended up liking because Jonas Blix won one year. Well, he was on the team that won one year. And the thing is, and I'm not trying to dog you, Jonas, because I like you, and I really do legitimately like Jonas Blix. Nice guy. So hopefully if he hears this, he doesn't get mad at me. You get credit for a PGA Tour win if you're on the winning team here. So when they throw up your resume and you're, slap-ass Bramlett, who's never done anything, and they're like, oh, Bramlett with a win last year on tour, you're like, did he? Did he win on tour last year? Because they will. They'll do that. They'll surprise you. They're like, we now go out over to David Walker. Walker, who won last year to secure his card. You're like, David Walker? Who the hell? When did David Walker win? Won at the Zurich with his partner Hubbard. Come on, man. Get the hell up out of here with that nonsense. They do that all the time. You're like, yeah, that sounds like a tournament Walker and Hubbard would win.
Yeah, I think, Walker and Hubbard were part of the linebacking core with Gene Faction in 1968.
Very good players, Tom. Very solid. You can depend on them week to week.
They called him the Green Wave.
They're like, and there's Coles and Sanders. Sanders, of course, winning last year. You're like, he did? Oh, yeah. Well, last year his partner was Patton Kazire, and they came home and took it to Zurich. You're like, oh, get out of here. I'm not counting that win unless it's Jonas Blix.
He also won at Punta Cana.
Now, I count the Punta Cana win.
You mean the off-brand event when everybody's playing in a designated event?
No, but you get credit for that. You still have to go win a PGA Tour event with individuals competing against you who have their cards. I'm still going to give you that one. Is it as prestigious as winning the Players? No, but you get a little love for that.
He won in a 3-man playoff with John Pack and Bo Hosler.
Hey, listen. You beat a professional golfer, all of the professional golfers in that tournament. You get credit. That team thing, how much did you do? Did your teammate whoop ass for you that week?
Nobody would know. Lie and say your teammate was awful.
I carried the day. I was a beast. As for Florida State to bring it home, here we're talking about players they may bring in, and apparently we got beat out for an edge rusher, Tom, to Syracuse. Is that accurate?
We did?
Probably.
We were in on an edge rusher? That would be news to me. No, I'm serious. Did a breakdown yesterday, and, right now it's defensive back. We're in on a receiver. Old Nakos is reporting that it's us in Kentucky for a receiver. Out of
who is this receiver?
He's a guy from Cincinnati, and his name is.
Was the name
Tony...
of that HBO show John from Cincinnati? I don't know. I think it was John from Cincinnati, which is the ridiculous HBO show that only lasted a year, and that's what the director of Deadwood quit doing Deadwood for to go do John in Cincinnati and effed us all.
Oh, wow.
All for a stupid show like John in Cincinnati.
Okay, well, this
I believe that was the name of the show.
Is Tony Johnson from Cincinnati. This is just came on the wire a few minutes ago from NACOS. It's Kentucky and FSU. The kid's 5'10", 187 pounds, and he had 450 yards worth of receiving last year. He's either a junior or a senior, so he's an upperclassman.
He had 450 yards receiving last year?
Yeah, 48 catches. Yep, 6 touchdowns, 450, 5'10", 187 pounds.
That's interesting. Listen, I'm not big on 5'10" guys, but that's a lot of production. And Cincinnati's at a decent level. I mean, that's a lot of production. That's not nothing.
Yeah, that makes me sigh. 5'10", upperclassman. Nobody can catch you 400 yards of passes on this roster right now. Really? Come on, man. Gus doesn't ask for the world. You're not doing calculus out there. It's frustrating.
Well,
because we're going to get into bidding war with Kentucky. How much we're going to spend on this guy? This is back to our first hour discussion.
I'm mad every time I hear a name, every time I think about like whatever position group it is. Now, listen, you do have to bolster your roster. If you can get a guy relatively on the cheap, then you got to do what you got to do, especially if they have, the production that he has. Hogwatcher says, can we have an honest conversation about do we really have a wide receiver that has proven anything? Hogwatcher, we can. That is a fair thing to point out. Now, so for example, I've heard a bunch of Florida State fans and even non-fans say, oh, well, they went out and got some production at receiver, and I listen carefully when they say it, and then they say Deuce, and I want Deuce to be a superstar. And I think physically he looks the part. But let's not say that he's a superstar yet. He hasn't been. Dominic and I talked when he was here playing in the golf tournament, and he wouldn't be mad at me for saying that. He wouldn't, right? I mean, what's he have in college? 20 catches total, maybe? Look that up for me because I don't know the answer to that. I think I'm somewhere in the neighborhood there. So that, no, you would not classify him as a superstar.
Yeah, 39 in 2 years. Last year, 23 for 396, 5 touchdowns.
Right. It's not nothing. I'm not sneezing at it. It's 23 receptions. It's 5 touchdowns. It's what? 300 and what?
96.
All right, so just south of 400 yards. So it's not a ton of production over. Your freshman year is your freshman year, but he's played 2 years of college football and he has less than 40 receptions. That's not a superstar. He might be this year. We're kind of banking on it. I'm rooting for it. Physical tools galore, 5-star recruit, great athlete. Could happen. Glad we signed him. Want to make that abundantly clear. But to Hogwatcher's point, he's not exactly been uber productive. And he was in an offense that was very productive. So you would say, okay, let's wait and see. Squirrel's the one that's been productive. Now, they sling it all over the lot at Tennessee, and his role as slot and all the things that he did, that makes a lot of sense, but he got hurt. So what has he done? Give me his numbers, if you will, to marry that with what we just talked about with Deuce. And again, this is I am not taking shots. We're having honest dialogue about whether or not we have a ton of production that we can bank on coming into this year.
So in his career, over 1,600 yards receiving.
That's a lot.
3 seasons. Now, 2 years ago was the big one for Squirrel.
He went nuts.
Yeah, over 800 yards. And last year there was the injury concerns, but the 67 catches for 800 yards 2 seasons ago. Last year.
Okay, so even, you know what, you can stop. It doesn't matter. Last year he got hurt. If he's healthy and he's anywhere close to the form that he was 2 years ago, then you did get a receiver that has produced a lot. If you're in an SEC school and you have 67 receptions and 800 yards in a season, you did something. There's no getting around that. You did some things. So that is production. You signed production unequivocally. So if he's healthy. But if he's not, then you sign somebody who's injured, and that was a mistake and a miss eval. But if he's all the way back, then you got a guy who has been very productive. But anybody else?
Well, this kid would be if you get him from Cincinnati.
400 yards.
Yeah. The teams that are involved for this kid are us, Kentucky, Miami, Syracuse, UCF.
Yeah, man, it's disheartening. They keep it. You know what it keeps going back to? It just keeps going back to the fact you haven't recruited well. And you find yourself in these binds where you got to go out and get guys from Cincinnati and hope to beat out a Kentucky or a UCF or a whatever, right? It feels very small-timey. It feels like you're not a serious player. And I think more than anything, that really irks Florida State fans. That they're like, okay, man, I get it. That guy can help us. We're having to beat out Syracuse for an edge rusher. We're hoping to get a player to come in from Cincinnati. And we have to try to beat out Kentucky to get him. Okay. We're going to bring in a defensive back from Houston who was more productive than anybody we had combined at defensive back.
Yeah, well, let's go down the line. I'll do defensive back first. Just a list of names that are available to us. And that's Earl Little, Shaheem Brown. Now, some of these aren't corners, some are safeties. I
was going to say.
Florida State lists them all as one catch-all position.
Defensive back.
Edwin Joseph, Charles Lester, Jabril Rawls, Conrad Hussey, Kai Bates, Arnaud, Quindarius Jones, Jamari Howard, Max Redmond, KJ Kirkland, Ricky Knight, Ashland Barker, Christian White, and Donnie Hebert. A couple of those guys are walk-on-ish, but most of those names you've heard of, and most were pretty heralded when it came to the signing day.
The Howard kid is a freak show of speed, and he's the one who got hurt. He's the one that, of course he did. If Florida State didn't have bad luck, they'd have none at all. He was exciting early, right from Jump Street. Then he tears an ACL.
Yeah, I think, and I know that Tony White might be shuffling some of these bodies because of different responsibilities in the system, but if you're just looking at corners, which is what they're trying to sign with this kid out of Houston, Edwin Joseph, Charles Lester, Rawls, Bates, Arnaud, true freshman, Quindarius Jones, Howard, Redmond, freshman, and then Ricky Knight. There's a lot of names in there.
I like Ricky Knight an awful lot.
There's a lot of names in there. So you have to go get one. You have to farm one out. Okay.
It's bothersome. Again, we keep getting back to this, right? We keep getting back to having these issues where you're not only not winning over the yeses from the high-level recruits, it would appear that the yeses you do get are not panning out at an alarming clip.
And then at the receiver position, you're looking for a 3. You're looking for your 3 because if you, as you've talked about, you can flip the production and in your order if you want, but it's deuce and squirrel, squirrel and deuce. Those are your 1 and your 2. So then your other candidates are Loane McCoy, BJ Gibson, Javon Boggs, Mekhi Danzy, Elijah Moore, Tayshawn Gelsey, Willie Suarez, who apparently had a nice camp, and then Camden Fryer. So like none of those guys are ready to be a 3. Is what is the message that you're getting here by having to dip into the portal and in theory probably overspend because these kids aren't going for, this is a seller's market. If you're the player, this is your market. It is not the buyer's market right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating. We'll solve for the future here in a second from our friends at ISF. Before we do, I do want to note something here. I've talked about my friends at Tried True Consulting for over a year. They are delivering on saving and making money for their clients in 2025. It marks a new era for all those accepting payments. Tried and True ensures that your business is protected. Recent changes impacting chargebacks, by the way, and PCI compliance are taking center stage. If you have PCI non-compliance fees, you need to contact Don, Joe, or Rusty. They can help mitigate and eliminate an avoidable fee. Secondly, watch out for the chargeback costs. And a chargeback will cost more, by the way. Talk to Tried and True Consulting about chargeback mitigation services. They exist, and they're your guys. They care about your bottom line. They'll save you money. They'll make you money. and they'll provide exceptional service. Save money, grow revenue, great service and protection. That is tried and true. Give them a call today, 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653.
Injured? Call Basic Brooks and come back stronger. Offices, Tallahassee.
Hey man, if you heard the sound, Talbot Jewelry's the best in town. Rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. And Talbot Jewelry.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalta and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalta.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway.
Hey, did you see the new portable building from Southeast Portable Buildings? It's like a mansion, but you can move it.
Oh, come on, man. A mansion? It's probably just big enough for your collection of the world's smallest spoons.
You think I'm kidding? This thing has more space than my in-laws' house during the holidays. And I can finally hide from them in style.
Well, I guess if you need a place to escape or maybe to store your emergency cheese stash, Southeast Portable Buildings has you covered.
Exactly. They've got models for every taste, from classic to modern. Plus, they're built to last longer than my New Year's resolutions.
Well, speaking of resolutions, I resolved to get one of those buildings for my backyard barbecue empire. Imagine the grilling space.
So Tallahassee, don't wait. Get your own slice of portable paradise at Southeast Portable Buildings.
Yeah, give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400, or online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Because sometimes you just need to escape, even if it's just to the backyard.
Whatever you're driving right now, remember it doesn't cost much more to go first class, because you can lease either of Infinity's popular luxury SUVs, the QX50 or the QX60, for around $600 a month with less due at signing than you might think. Only at Infinity of Tallahassee.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Before we get to ISF, our friends there, of course, your vision, their expertise, invested in your success. We will solve for the future in just a moment. But a reminder, you can save an awful lot right now with my friends at Cornbread Hemp. You tried everything under the sun to find some peace of mind. Sounds like it's time for you to try a Cornbread Hemp CBD gummy. They got that. And then they also have the THC gummy, whatever floats your boat with the gummies. You can do it. I know this, maintaining physical and mental wellness are aided with the all-natural and, listen, again, USDA organic, third-party tested, lab-tested, safe, pure gummies from Cornbread Hemp. Bedtime for me. Well, bedtime for me. For everybody, it's a little different. Mine's a post-workout, big meal, kind of laying back, getting ready for bed. Badoo. Got me. Good to go. Now it's off to sleepy time.
You and the Mad Dog are a little different.
Yeah, he starts his day. Yeah, a little bit different. That's right. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use the code warchant at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Remember to use code warchant. All right, ISF, let's solve for the future here right now. Tom, this is the heavy lifting. ISF has been transforming organizations for 40 plus years through strategy, process, and technology. And you and I are forever talking about the strategy and the process. We might not talk about technology as much, but we can replace that word with the evaluations, and recruiting world is what we've been hyper-focused on lately. And we are right now because that window closes tomorrow. And Florida State seeking to bring in a couple helping hands here. Again, they're not jumping into the marketplace, trying to grab 10 guys, more like 2 or 3. And we understand why. The bulk of what they've spent was on players coming in that December window that opened up, and that portal process began at a time of great desperation on the heels of a 2-10 season, not a lot of momentum, to say the least, and a recruiting class at the time that ranked, depending on the service you were looking at, somewhere in the 50s or high 40s. Florida State was able to salvage something of it, and then some. They actually gained a little bit of traction, some publicity, bolstered the image of Florida State after a disastrous season, which seemed nearly impossible. And that really kind of culminated when they were able to get Cromwell to decommit from Georgia and come to Florida State. Now, before that, of course, they had grabbed the offensive linemen, 4 of them, in fact, all of whom had starting experience in the Power 4, all had been productive, brought a defensive end, a linebacker. You just saw lots of players coming in that had played big-time college football and had put up numbers. And that was not cheap to do. Subsequently, they have looked to retain the players that were on the roster who decided to stay on board and try to make another go of it the following season. There are a few that they wanted to be sure stuck around. Had to pay handsomely for a couple of them, including a defensive tackle that remained here on the roster. So to me, this portal window has been much more about you got to be judicious with where you spend and on what you spend it on. And so far, Tom and I are admittedly kind of casting a jaundiced eye towards the program, wondering why it is you're about to bring in a defensive back and a receiver. Not saying that both won't have an impact if you're successfully able to bring them both in, but rather what does it say, again, about your inability to either develop or recruit those positions with any degree of acceptable acumen. And that's why it's hard to stay present, have the conversation about the now. Is it a good idea to bring this player in? Is it a good idea to bring that player in? Because what happens is your brain immediately goes, why is it we have to bring those players in? These are positions where we've brought in people recently that we were very excited about. Are you now telling me, coaches, that these guys can't play, that you whiffed? Is this another example of misevaluation and or improper development, or both? And that's what makes it tough to stay here right now.
Yeah, agreed. It's just you're asking the question, are you just plainly garbage bringing in high school talent? Because if you're looking at this year starting 22, 4 offensive linemen are transfers. The 5th one might be that Florida transfer you got from a year ago, but I'll count those as Florida State players because they're multi-year transfers. Like, even though they came in not from high school, it's a multi-year player. All right, so 4 out of 5 are new. Your top 2 receivers are new. Your top tight end is new. I know that you brought one back. He's a retread, and hopefully Biscuit can help you. I think your second tight end probably is Landon Thomas or Chase. So in different situations, they'll be on the field. So that's homegrown. So, and your quarterback is new. Your top veteran running back is probably a Florida State player. He was transferred in last year in Roydell, not a high school player. And you bought a high school player to be your other top running back. So of your 11, maybe like 8 or 9, depending on how you define it, or transfers. Defensive front, defensive end is new. Daryl Jackson is a former transfer, but he's a holdover, so I'll give you that one. You get it back. Jason Jenkins was supposed to be your other defensive lineman. He would be a transfer that you paid for that's new.
Yeah, if he's healthy.
Elijah Herring, Stephon Thompson, 2 transfers at linebacker. Your third one is probably a homegrown guy. At corner, if you do land this kid from Houston, that is a transfer acquisition. Other places in the defensive backfield, I guess that's all going to be homegrown. So
Shaheem, certainly.
Shaheem is.
See who the other safety is.
The other safety is. We'll see if they do more work in the portal. So right now you're looking at 6 of your 11 are probably going to be out of the transfer portal. So 15 of your 22 are this year, this cycle, transfer portal acquisitions. And the number could go a little bit higher because your third receiver may very well be somebody that's out of the portal. So you're talking about, again, over 50% of your starters. Where are these options from within? Where and your backups, a lot of them, I'm counting them as Florida State players, but they were transfers. They weren't out of the high school ranks. So
yeah, I think that this is very easy. We're trying to solve for the future. You've got to insist on being better. You have to insist on being better in the high school ranks of recruiting. You've got to establish a better system. You have to hold yourself accountable as the head coach, and you have to hold your assistant coaches accountable. You've got to be better at recruiting the high school ranks and developing that talent so that there's and I get it, man. Everybody's fallback argument to this is, well, if you bring in a really good player and you don't play him right away because he's not ready, you probably are going to lose him. It's hard to foster depth. Well, that's true for a lot of teams, but many of them have found a way to do better than we're currently doing. I get you're not in the same money bracket as some of the schools that are able to retain that talent when they are disgruntled, but there are countless programs whose financial bracket you are in, and you're not having success in the talent development and evaluation department in the same way that they are. And that means that you're whiffing. And, you know, it's not an excuse to continue to say, well, it's tough in this climate. Other people are finding ways and they're having success.
Is there a program out there that has more than 50% of its starters from high school? Like the ones that they brought in from high school? Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. And if you just look at it that way, and I was being lenient with the definition of who's a Knoll. But if you said how many kids on offense are high school players for us, one at best, your starting running back, 1 receiver, and 1 of your tight ends this year. Like at best. On defense, at best, a lineman, a linebacker, 2 corners, and a safety. So at best, you're looking at 7 or 8 high school players out of 22.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pie in the sky.
Yeah.
You're probably looking more like 4 or 5.
Yeah. No, it's not acceptable. It's a fair criticism, and it's aggravating. That's how you solve for the future. You get better at that. You got to get better at that. You demand it. You demand it of yourself. You demand it of your assistant coaches. You enforce it. You're unwavering in your commitment to do it. And, you know, but again, this is where we get into the big picture conversation that never ends. It's in perpetuity. It gets old. I'm tired of it, just like you're tired of it, just like our listeners and fans are tired of it. But it demands it because this is the team we cover and care about. And that is, how well can you recruit coming off a 2 intense season?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're going to have a late surge this class, and you were able to surge late last year because you just overpaid because there's a suck tax that you had to spend on. And you're hoping that you don't have to do that this time around because even still, high school players are expensive. They're not as expensive as dudes on the portal right now.
Correct.
It's my owner of my MLB franchise, Uncle Stevie, talks about this all the time. I love Uncle Stevie.
He said, you do.
You've got to develop pitching from within because free agent pitching is ridiculously expensive. I've got money, but I'm about done spending on dudes who are going to pitch to a 3.80 ERA and pay them $19 million a year. This is dumb.
We got to find that with the guys we draft. Right.
when it comes to the NIL pie chart, I'm sure that's bearing out too. Yes, we're going to have to pay for high school kids, but you know what? By the time they emerge, you've already gotten a good year out of them before you have to give them a pay bump. And you might just tell them, if you're good at this high school recruiting thing, get the hell out. I'm going to save the $150,000 you're asking me, and I'm going to pay the other kid that we just recruited who's also badass, and he's cost me $75,000. That would be a nice place to go.
Our thanks to ISF to learn more how they can help your business do better. That's for sure. ISF.com. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. I almost caught myself like a pro. That was well done.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee man, Adam Neely, is behind bars after another man was found dead at a homeless camp on Appalachia Parkway Tuesday. He is accused of shooting and killing a man after an argument and attempting to hide the victim's body. Around 3:45 Monday, officers responded to reports of shots fired in the area of the 3500 block of Appalachia Parkway. Officers searched a nearby wooded area in an area behind Walmart, but did not find any evidence of a shooting. On Tuesday, just after 6, officers responded to a business located on Park Avenue after someone called wanting to report a homicide. A witness believed the victim's body was still in the area. Officers located a wooded encampment and found the man's body under a mattress and wrapped in a tarp. Neely was then found nearby and detained. An investigation revealed that Neely and the victim had gotten into an argument when police said Neely shot the victim multiple times, killing him. This is Rachel Anay with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Rain chances staying low and temperatures staying warm. A chance of a stray pop-up shower with highs in the upper 80s to 90 degrees, lows in the 60s. Rain chances possibly a little higher Sunday into Monday, but not by much. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 63. Friday, mostly sunny, slight chance of a shower, high at 89, low of 63. Saturday, sunny, 20% chance of rain, high of 90. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147 or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Podcast is brought to you by our friends at AboveAndBeyondVR.com. Unbeatable rates this summer. Get on it, you deadbeats. Get your summer plans in place. Let's go. AboveAndBeyondVR.com. Use the promo code JCS, and you're good to go.
I'm looking at a bungalow for a few days.
I'm looking at a bungalow, Jeff.
I am.
You should.
Well, they come with the private parking, too, because that's a nightmare down at Clearwater Beach. Growing up there, the parking was 3/4 of the problem, but you get your own private spot.
And then you wander about the earth.
That is it.
Where's the pizza we had?
That was
King's Pizza.
King's Pizza. It's to the left of the roundabout as you arrive there. It's very good.
We just gave them a free shout out, but the King's Pizza was good.
Earnest. They were earnest.
Hardworking folk indeed. I was very, very impressed. Let's do some probables. We got plenty of time, but I want to get into something else after that. So go ahead and cue it up. Let's do some probables.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching probables?
Four to 2, Seattle leads Boston, and Garrett Crochet got the start for Boston. He's been good, and they spent a lot on him. Brian, woo! Starting for Seattle. White Sox, Twins. What's that game? We got 3-0 White Sox. Boy, the Twins. White Sox are 5-19. They've returned to their ways.
It's not what we need. That is a rare opportunity. 5-19 is not what we need.
Shane Smith started for the 5-19 White Sox. By the way, the Rockies are 4-18.
Oh, man.
Winning percentage. Twins have Chris Paddock going for them today. Disappointingly. Rockies Royals tied at 4 in the 5th. That's Herman Marquez and Tallahassee's own Cole Reagans. Doubleheader later today, so they'll get to play it again, and everybody can't wait to flock to see more Rockies baseball. Chase Dollander and Michael Lorenzen. Brewers Giants, that is Tobias Myers and Landon Raup. Orioles Nats. Nats beat the Orioles yesterday. A lot of people do. Cade Povich goes for the Orioles. Mackenzie Gore goes for the Nationals. They're not good. Pirates shut out the Angels last night. Break up the Buccos. Did you see O'Neal Cruz's 468-foot home run?
I did not.
Straightaway center, 117 miles per hour off the bat. It is a tank job. Buccos won 3-0. We'll see if they can complete the sweep tonight on the road against the Angels. That is Carmen Medinski going for the Buccos. Tyler Anderson.
There's one bright spot for the Nats. James Wood.
Yeah.
That dude's a player. He's 22 years old. He's opsing 934 with 8 bombs already this year.
You know who's good and fun to watch? And that series was incredible? Cubs. Cubs are good. And that Cubs-Dodgers series was awesome.
Yo, they're scoring. I think their double-digit run output more than doubles the next closest team.
They're going to have fun at Wrigley this summer.
11, 12 games already. They've scored 10 runs or more.
Did you tune in at all to that series? It was good.
No, but I saw, oddly, because Twitter will flood you with Cubs-Dodgers updates. I mean, back and forth, home runs to
it was
the left,
unbelievable.
home runs to the right.
It's a perfect night at Wrigley last night. They were showing out there, behind where the bleacher bums and all that. And I've been back there many times and had many a cold beer. 67 degrees, and they were walking into the park with smiles on their faces. I was like, oh, it's been a long, cold winter for these people. This is a heaven as they walk in there.
It's oddly warm for April and up in a lot of these cold weather places. Last year, I wasn't so lucky. What the hell is this?
Freezing in April, yeah.
75 yesterday. It's Citi Field. I do want to go to Wrigley next year. That's on my list.
That's a good place to be.
I want to use one of those games to sit in those across the street. All you can
up on the roof.
All you can ask for, beverages and food.
I'll take you to the Cubby Bear. We'll go together. It's fun.
All right.
I've been to Wrigley probably 20 times, and I've been down on the field for batting practice at Wrigley. Good to have connections. And it was, it's a fabulously old, quaint ballpark. You'll enjoy it.
I want to do one game in the stands, one game across the street.
Wrigleyville itself is awesome, though. You go walking around there. If you go down just like outside the stadium, you take a right and you just go and you start walking. There's restaurants and bars or whatever. You get down a good ways. There's this kind of hole in the wall. It's been there forever. You walk in and right above the bar, big ass, well lit Seminole head. And owner is a 1973, 74 graduate of Florida State. And has had that bar in Wrigleyville ever since. And he's got the Florida State gear. It's awesome.
God, the stories he can tell.
Oh, it's pretty cool. Rays D-backs, Drew Rasmussen, Corbin Burns, and the Rangers in athletics. That is Jacob deGrom.
I'd take it to beer.
And JT Ginn. Grom's got 3 starts under his belt this year with a 332, 20 strikeouts. He's looked good. Kind of rooting for him, right, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the way we partied.
And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Man, I saw some news regarding baseball today. Blake Snell ceased the throwing program he was on to recover from shoulder inflammation. Didn't feel great. Dave Roberts said about him, they decided to shut it down, had a little inflammation. It's not a good sign.
Well, they've got 94 more where he comes from.
It does seem as
All
such.
of the
Although the
pitching.
Cubs didn't have any problem hitting him.
No, they didn't.
By the way, Rob Manfred, I read, very inside baseball stuff just because I like it. And I know that everybody dives in both feet early in the season, but I can't help Rob Manfred has gotten lucky in some ways, but he is just the worst. And I get so tired of dumb people like Nico Harrison with the Mavericks and people who just don't understand the simple, just the very simplest of ways and means by which to communicate and not piss off people, fans. The people spending money on your product. I don't understand it. So there was an article in Baseball Prospectus by Mark Normandin, and Rob Manfred told Dodgers fans who can't afford to attend Dodgers games to just go to Angels games instead.
Oh.
In what world would that be your response? He said it. It's documented, quote unquote. And, the point that Mark Normandin made was, look, I can show you a million quotes from this guy that reveals that there's a pattern in which the MLB commissioner does not understand what being a fan of a team is or what it means and why it's aggravating to have that said to them or the blackouts or any of the, because he gets asked about these things all the time. Like, man, don't you think it's kind of weird that a guy in Tallahassee can't watch a Marlins game? Now that question very specifically has not been asked of him, but very similar questions in markets all over the country have been asked. And he's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You guess you got to drive down there. Yeah, it's 6 hours, man. He's not driving down there on a Tuesday. Why is it blacked out?
Trying to watch your product, dog.
What are we doing? I'm trying to watch your product. So it's it blows me away. And it kind of bothers me. And I just, every time I see it, I think, good Lord, man.
Speaking of watching product, if you were imbued with the power to make a decision to forever change the NFL draft and the way it's consumed, I'm giving you the chance. You can only make this change once. You know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't. I'm curious.
You got two choices in terms of how to consume the draft in your life, and everybody will be affected. It's either A, you keep it exactly the way it is, or B, you return it to Saturdays at noon Eastern, and it
it's
goes
all day
straight through.
So listen, clearly the format's better now, but I loved the old Saturday all day thing. Now that is a little bit of nostalgia. That is you and I not caring at all for ratings or exposure or any of those other things. We would do it the way we used to do it on Saturdays because that was an all-day glorious affair set up with a cooler. And, man, I would jot notes. It was the whole to-do.
Right. 3 days of ratings is better than one. Opening segment of the show, I argued against St. Louis, Winnipeg. So if you're going to put that cap on, you do need to keep it this way.
Absolutely. You have to keep it this way. There's no argument, but, damn, it was cool.
That was the best.
Will you live with it if the Bucks draft a receiver tonight? I can if it's the Ibuka kid from Ohio State. I love him. He's a great player, and he'll be an instant impact player. I could do it. We do have two relatively, certainly by injury and age, old-ass receivers.
Don't love it.
He's a stud, and if you read everything about him, not only is he productive and good, he's like a wildly mature individual. Here's a very team-first guy with a unique set of skills.
All-American, academic All-American.
I don't care about the academics now because he's playing pro football. But no, apparently he's like the guy. He's a great kid.
Where I'm at on this is I would not be thrilled with that, but Jason Light has built up enough equity that I won't flip out.
Let me ask you, are you going to be upset if there's a rumor they want Will Johnson, the Michigan defensive back? Now he's a stud and he's all but I'll tell you why I don't like him.
Yeah. The 40 times not good.
Correct.
Burning Hargraves. I've been burned.
Yeah, I've been burned. We're not doing that again.
Yeah.
40 times terrible. Now we run zone incessantly, but still, buddy.
That doesn't mean they're going to be running zone 2 years from now.
That's right. Then you got a bust on your hands.
Yeah. I wouldn't love that, but I've got to trust him. He's been really good at the draft. He's been really, really good at managing the draft.
Jahad Campbell's there at 19, the linebacker from Alabama. Is it just a no-brainer you take him?
Please, God, I'm saying I don't need you to debate this. I don't need the clock to tick. I need to see the pick is in. I want the Bucks logo to be up for 3 seconds and the clock on the bottom left and it says the pick is in. Please.
I will tell you, and they will not do this, but if they did, I would not get angry if they drafted the Kenneth Grant guard out of Michigan.
No problem.
I got no problem with that.
No problem.
If it's Derek Harmon, the guard out of Oregon, I got no problem with that.
Hey, man, look, you don't even have to tell me where they play. If you
we need a guard. Well, we need a guard.
Yes.
We don't need a tackle. We need a guard.
I'm just saying, if I hear guard, defensive tackle,
you're gonna be
defensive end, tackle, linebacker, even defensive back, like BPA on the defense or the offensive line, done.
Yeah, and when you say defensive back, that could be safety too. The kid from South Carolina.
It could be. I'd rather be a corner.
But I mean, you got a freak. You got a freak. I mean, the Starks kid's really good too from Georgia. So,
right, yeah. And Jordan Whitehead's second go around. It's about time.
What would you do? Would you be all right with the Boston College edge rusher?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. If he said it's Trench Thursday in my organization.
Right.
Today is Trench Thursday.
It is. I agree.
We put out the poll amongst the fans. What side of the trenches will Trench Thursday celebrate this year? Offense or defense?
I don't think he'll fall. What pick do we have in the second round again?
Probably 57.
No, well then there's no chance.
Well, I'm doing my math wrong.
Yeah, no, it's not 38. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So
51.
Yeah.
Because we're 19, aren't we?
Yeah, we have the 19th pick in the draft. There's 3 tight ends I like in this draft right off the bat. Second round. Mason Taylor will be long gone.
So we're round 2, pick 21. How the hell does that work? 53.
So we're 53.
Huh. The compensatory picks I'm unaware of?
Probably.
How does this work?
The compensatory thing is a crazy racket. Have you read into this? They're trying to change all this, man. It's a mess. We got to go. Good work out of you. Be good, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.